Basically, apEX shows up and we try and overachieve with 3 webcams. We're back down to 2 and we're live.
Cheers.
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 Or commiserations. I don't know which one.
When I lose, we booze.
Is that the motto? This is water with lime in it.
I feel bad about your time in Liquid now.
No, you know, it wasn't that boozy in Liquid. We had good times even among the losses, you know. That team's known for their positive attitude.
I've been there.
But it was COVID times too. I couldn't even go anywhere if I wanted to. I had to have the Liquid has like 3 chefs or something, and I made really good friends with them at the facility. So I'd just go to them and I'd be like, "Hey, can you throw in like a bottle of whiskey for this next round of like food orders for the team?" That's how I had to get booze because nowhere was open.
So now we know what was wrong with Liquid when Jason was.
I wasn't going hammer or anything like that.
Yeah. How many bottles of whiskey is Zonic bringing to practice? Is it, you know?
0, mate.
Yeah, well, that's
Unfortunately.
I didn't bring them to practice. Y'all are crazy.
I wish I was in Team Liquid, but
I feel like I need to say this now for the record is, you know, it was at the end of the day, you know, a couple of drinks here or there.
take the edge off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the golden days of Envious and LDLC, that was the heyday.
I'm sure there's a lot less wine these days, Dan.
it's been long. It's a long time ago. It's 14, 15. The good old time when I used to be one of the best entry fragger.
You were only an entry fragger.
Yes. But that's the problem we had back then in the scene. That I had to do that. And I was like committed to my in-game leader so much that I was okay. I was like, okay, if it's what you asked me to do, I'm going to do it. Of course, I would have preferred playing more, not doing that only,
Sure.
doing other things, but...
Well, the game was so different back then too, right? Like
It was more direct.
Yeah, the game was just played differently than it is
Yes.
now. There wasn't as many moves. It was like 1, 2, finish, 1, 2, execute. You know, that would, and then boom,
Okay,
done.
so we might be down to 1 webcam in a second.
Well, yeah. I'm usually not a hand talker, but here I am.
Yeah, well, yeah.
For me, the image of apEX as a player back in those days is always one thing because we also played then, and for me it's I'm nuke, I'm in garage with the op, and apEX just wide swings as T without there's no utility, nothing, and I'm like double scoped on that first angle where a T shows up and he just blows my head away, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, am I really this bad? Is this guy really that insane? But that's how I remember. Just like when he's fucking on and goes and wide swings is like people didn't really know how to hold off angles then. To just
Didn't exist back then.
the basic angles. So you just like come out, boof, see ya.
Yeah.
Do you remember when CSGO like first came out too? Like there was that whole discussion, like, because I mean, obviously a lot of the player base came from like 1.6, where like holding angles was like the god tier play. In CSGO in the early days, the peeker's advantage was so shockingly strong to everyone that like no one wanted to hold off angles. No one wanted to hold angles at all.
I guess the game was also, I mean, I come from Source, so it was a bit different, but the game was, I mean, CSGO was way faster. When it got released, like the movement got way faster. And I remember that I had the loss in Source. I had like 1.1 for 400 DPI. I was really low. But when I arrived in CSGO, no way. Like the skin were moving way too fast. So I think that's also about that it could be, it was easier back then to hold an angle because the game was way less fast. Now with the right pick and the Xandares pick, you even don't see the guy.
Yeah.
I think that got a lot harder to hold angles, and back then you had just to pick.
But the crosshair stayed, Dan. Oh, wait, no. I see. Are you using a dot now?
Now I'm using a small one, but I stopped
You were
this big one.
using that massive crosshair. See,
For a long time.
You weren't alone because, like, we play with Henry still, and Henry, up until recently, was using this almost the same as your. It was like an aqua one that you had, but his was giant and purple. And I'm like, look, fucking Source crosshairs, man, just like massive crosshairs.
Actually, like the fun part about this crosshair is it's not even Source, because in Source I was playing with a small one, but when I started to play with Kukli, he was insane with pistol.
Yeah,
Well,
he was.
God knows why. But
You think that was because of the crosshair?
it was insane. So I was like, okay, I should start as well. And actually, my best ever major was ESL Cologne 2014, and I changed 1 month before that, and I was insane individually. I was insane. I remember, and I just liked this crosshair. I could spray. It was a lot easier for me to spray, and pistol was insane with that. So yeah, that's the story of that big crosshair, size 5.
But you've changed now.
Yeah, I have size 1 now, because nowadays it's a lot different. I tried to play against. Actually, I played until the end of I think I played with it. The last time I played with it was 2022,
Okay.
and I stopped like 1 year ago.
Okay.
Because it was like maybe like Crosshair have like some part of life, and I think that was the end for him.
You don't want to go like the toggle? You don't want to go pistols with like a dot crosshair? And
I tried that as well. I mean, when I had the big one, I had a small one for pistols.
Okay.
Because that was. But actually, the fun part is that back then I preferred the big crosshair for pistol, and then it changed with time and having nades as well.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Something
up
I
with-
didn't get used to.
What's up with the dot crosshair these days? I feel like it's making an infestation in Counter-Strike.
What the-
A lot of people are switching to dots these
Yeah,
days.
well, how much more accurate do you want to be, Jason? You put the dot on the head and you pull the trigger. If you're not fragging, I blame the game.
I haven't been able. I've tried the dot for like I put like I think maybe like 3 days into it, and I hated it. I hated everything about
hated it?
I hated the dot.
I do the dynamic crosshair. I've always done dynamic crosshair, but with the dot in the middle. So like you'll see it move, but the dot will always stay, right? So like the
Okay.
dot stays dead
That
center.
nice
and-
reference
That old
point.
Nico Shocks crosshair. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
we got used to.
I think
That's super old, Nico.
Yeah,
That's like
exactly,
2015.
Exactly.
I think Simple was using something.
Yeah,
I
as
wasn't,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't using the dot in early CS:GO.
Does it give you the same vibes as the dynamic in 1.6?
No, it's
because
not the
I
same.
use the dynamic 1.6.
It's not the same at all.
Same for me on Source. I use the dynamic as well.
It was beautiful.
It didn't exist back then to have a stack crosshair.
Yeah.
So just doing this with the spray button and you could fit. Now not having that is a lot different. And actually they changed that in 2014. I remember that's why I swapped to this big crosshair without moving. They changed it in like just before Cologne. I think it's July or June 2014. I really remember that they changed that. And the fun part with that big crosshair is Zonic. When he saw me play with that, he say the good part then is that you can always say that you wasn't him. You weren't.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't him, guys.
This was on him.
Yeah, bigger crosshair, you know,
that's
it's always
true.
going to be on it. Not too bad.
Blame the game.
Yeah, no, I see that.
But-
I see that.
I try the dot every now and again. It just kind of looks cool. It makes you feel like you're the best gamer out there, that you can put a dot crosshair and
Yeah.
get some heads. But for a noob like me, like the spraying is like super
Yeah,
hard with a
okay.
dot. But if you put a dot crosshair on someone like, I don't know, Nico or even a ZYwoo, like they're so aware of the angles and everything that like he doesn't really need a crosshair like as the default one to sort of like approximate it, right? Like the dot is just even cleaner.
You're right, and I think that about crosshair is like, I think I should have changed crosshair more in my career when I was younger, because then now changing is, I mean, I'm not changing because for me it changed my life. It's way too much.
Is that the same with peripherals and everything?
What?
Like same with peripherals? Do you keep that
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same?
exactly. I usually it's rare that I change. It's been like a year that I'm being shit, and yeah, for example, this year I started with another mount because I had to, because I felt like 2022 was shit. I was like, okay, I need something new for my brain. But players like Magisk, ZYwoo, and they change all the time. So for them, changing for small one, big one, it's the same.
What about your res? What are you playing on now?
It's the same at the beginning of the year. I changed at the beginning of 2023. I played 800 back then, of course, not now. And until the beginning of the year, I played 1024.
Holy
Still,
shit.
Yeah,
What, black
and now I
bars or
changed
stretch?
to 1280.
Okay.
Good
No,
for you.
yes.
Good
Yeah,
for you.
I changed, for my eyes. It's much better.
Yeah.
I wear glasses because of this 2024. So.
What about CS2? You gonna go like 1920 or you gonna go?
I think I'm gonna follow the mode. I'm just gonna see, and I'm not thinking about. I mean, for me, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
It's CS, and when you see a player like ZYwoo, he doesn't care about config. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a config himself.
Yeah, I've
he
heard that.
connects to the
That's
game.
hard to
I've only
believe.
heard that. I only heard that this tournament. I didn't know it until this tournament. He just shows up and fucking manually
He has
puts it.
binds. He has bind for like to buy weapons, like 4 to buy AKM4 and 5. I do that as well,
Yeah.
just to not to use it's a lot easier. And he does it all the time. He goes to tournament.
He
Like all the
rebinds
time he goes,
every
he
time.
has the binds.
But
Yeah.
that's so sick. That's why he's like
in here.
nickname being the game
Yeah.
is so cool. It's like he just shows up, uses it, like types up a couple of
Screen.
commands.
on
Yeah.
the screen. Like, the fun part, we played with Simple at the GGBet tournament. I mean, not tournament, but a show match. And I saw Simple like changing everything. And I'm like, I don't get used to see that close to my left, because I close with my left, and he's like, okay, I'm fine. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah. This.
Sure.
I never see him complain about like, I hate this all.
That's a very interesting thing, because like you said about the crosshair, for example, right? Like there's players who are doing it so much, and they're like so worried about the crosshair and the res.
I know so many people.
And maybe some of the settings and stuff. So then like they're changing it all the time. And you just said like for you it would be a big deal, like if you want to change your crosshair or change your res. So you don't do it that often. And for ZYwoo, like just having that mindset where
it's not a game changer.
yeah, it's like that's not something he like considers or whatever. Like he just shows up and isn't worried about the settings, or oh, he's having a bad game because he needs to change his monitor settings or something.
Exactly.
Like, he understands if he has a bad game, it just happens. If he has a sick game, those also will
normal.
happen.
It's just normal.
And then it's like much easier to
I
play.
think he's really good at that. He's really good at not thinking too much about it.
I remember speaking to him at one point, and he told me he used to like he still to this day like goes to events and he'll play like a couple games on like a different res leading up into it, or he'll warm up on a different res and then he switches it to go into a game. And he says it always makes him feel like, you know, a little bit stronger, a little bit sharper.
That's it.
Because like, you know, when you switch to a new res, you have like that one deathmatch session or that one like pug, and you're like, this is my res.
Isn't that the mental side?
Yeah, probably. But if you can like
is.
game the mental system to like making you feel like you're a badass, I mean, why wouldn't, if you feel like that gives you an advantage?
I guess, right? So like everyone has a different trick. Like one of the things was I would get too caught up in the idea of focusing on my radar. Probably something that happens to you a lot now, right? And getting caught with nades in your hands.
A little bit, yeah.
So what I would do to try and refocus myself on the crosshair was I would change from right-handed model to left-handed model because it's foreign to the eye. Like I don't normally play left-handed, so my brain's like, fuck, what's changed? And then I'd focus more on the crosshair, right? And be able like focus more on the shooting. But look, it didn't help me a whole lot. But those little tricks is the same thing as the res or the crosshair or that thing. Like it's a nice little like mental trick to be able to get you into hopefully resetting. And because at the end of the day, if you're a professional level Counter-Strike player, we're talking about crosshairs and all this, you probably know exactly where the center of your screen is most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and just without realizing it. So these things are all just aids in getting you across the line for those little details, right? Because you've played so many hours. I imagine ZYwoo can close his eyes and just run around every map. Like he could, you know?
Sometimes it's just fun. He does like, okay, one tap only, like the last round of the practice.
Oh, he just says
And
one
he does,
tap.
and he does fall.
What a dick.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's just so fun. I'm laughing so much when I see it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Fucking hell. No, that must be one of the most ridiculous things, right? Like, because we spoke a little bit before about Source and everything, and I got to watch you guys competing European Source. Well, there goes that camera.
Well,
There goes
That's
that
all right.
camera.
Unplug that one. We'll just go down to one. Just go down. We'll
Just go down to one.
Just go to one. It's fine. Unplug it. Nah. You recording?
Yep, recording.
All right, Jason's laptop is banned from all future podcast recording. So I apologize to everybody who missed the last 8 minutes, but we're talking about Dan's Source history, and I don't really remember what we discussed.
No, it was awesome though.
So we probably won't get most of that back.
It's fine.
But we were talking good things about French Source.
yes.
Yeah. And just see us back then. You know.
Back in the day.
I will say one thing is the Golden Generation documentary that's out there is good. It's about that, you know, core of the French Source scene and everything. And like I loved it because it's, you know, two guys get into a fight in practice, like verbal fight, and they're like mad at each other, and then practice is off, and in 3 days they have to go to this massive tournament, and then you know the third player has to sort of talk to both of them and like, let's make peace, let's go into this tournament, like let's fucking win this shit, and everyone's so hyped and they win, and it's like
Exactly. But that's French scene.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I mean, I think that other things have been the same as well. I remember playing against Navi, like the old five, like with Senya, and
Yeah.
we played them in practice, and they left at the middle of the practice because they had fight. That was just normal, and I heard then that was just normal when you play against them. They had big fight.
oh yeah,
together.
they leave. They used to leave practice.
I mean, that was a
well.
classic knowledge of like all those CIS teams, wasn't it? Just the raging. And I mean, it leaked into CSGO as well. Like, I mean, like we even to like the MLG major, I remember discussing that at the major on the desk of like the tendency of those teams to just get into internal
But even
battles.
now-
That's funny.
Even now we talk about like, hey, if Simple's having a fucking meltdown, right? Like if Simple is having a bad day,
Yeah.
it's still gonna leak in. Like this is the nature of the beast with this stuff
Yeah.
here. But I imagine like what we were talking about with those days, because we were mentioning the age of you before when you started playing and competing. The same with the other guys. They would have been a couple years older than you at most, if not around
Yes,
the
they
same
were.
age.
I mean, Shox, I think, is 1 year older. Smith 3. The XZ 2.
How old are you? How old are you now?
30 now.
30?
30. Yeah.
But this is the thing, like at the time, it's teenagers and young
Yeah.
adults learning how to communicate with each other.
With no help.
Yeah.
Without help,
Yeah.
exactly, and without experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been through a discussion that didn't make sense back then, but I knew it didn't make sense. I couldn't say it because I didn't have any experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, all the mess. I wish I will read a book after. I will write a book about the friendship, and it's gonna be a bestseller.
For sure.
I bet.
Dan Dron,
Drama,
good luck to Dan
heartbreak.
Dron, I can tell you. It's been such. Okay, so the friendship, like, yeah, from 2008, I could write things that happen that in my teams, in other teams that I know, and that's just crazy. And that's just the good part. I mean, we were known as well to go out a lot back then and not like taking care too much of the tournaments, but just winning them at the end. And that was just a good. Nowadays, it's impossible to do that. But that was just
there
the good old days.
there was a certain charm of that era, even in CS:GO. You know, like there's a certain cool part. Like we talk about it all the time because remember at events you used to like, even if it wasn't at the bar, but you would run into players and teams, and we would
All the
talk like till 2 in the morning at
we
the end of the night.
fucking prac room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's nothing else to do.
And I also it goes between, but I think that nowadays, like the young generation, they know only like computers kinda. I can see that they really like
Yeah,
nerds
that's
kinda.
fair.
And it's the way they are, but they are, and it's a lot harder to talk to them kinda because they a lot, as I said, in the practice room, and they know only the practice room. They don't know like I would say the real life
Sure.
kinda, and it's a lot like that nowadays, and it's just a lot different than before because the old generation, I think we knew both, like we knew the computer game, but we knew also like
Well,
doing
and it
team
was
sports
always
or whatever.
It was always the video game for like actual human beings. It felt like it way back when, and even actually in the early days, like
Exactly.
how many players did we know from back in the day who like were football players and tore an ACL or broke a leg or broke an arm
We
playing
went
sports?
to Cybercafe to play together back then, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, you just stay home, play Face It, and that's
Yeah.
it. Me,
So-
I started in Cybercafe, so
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because for different guys, it's been different. You know, for Snappy, for example, it was just online,
yeah.
really. But you were starting in LAN cafes?
Yeah, actually, okay. So the fun part is I'm not a gamer at all. I don't play other video game than CS for the last
A
16
man
years.
after my own heart.
Wow.
Yeah, I just fall in love with CS.
You played DayZ.
Yeah, but like he plays something cringe. He definitely doesn't just play CS. He's got one other game. You definitely have one other game. Everyone has
Admit
one
it,
other game.
I
admit
just
it.
played one game that is Assassin's Creed, but that's it.
Which game?
Assassin's
Assassin's
Creed.
Creed.
Yeah, my
Everyone
man.
has one
Yeah.
game.
I love
So
Assassin's
everyone's
Creed,
one.
man.
I played
that's fair.
3 of them and I finished them. Maybe I have like 200 hours, but I don't play other games. And I mean, the worst part for the first 12 years, I played no other game, zero. And then I started something else. But it's just like solo game, but that's it. So what happened is that I never played the video games, just maybe like PES back then, like the older FIFA. And I was playing that with my cousin, but that's it. And Cybercafe opened in my hometown, and a friend came, hey, come to see how it goes here and see it's called Source. And I say, okay, I'm coming. And then I'm like, okay, this is pretty fun. And back then I just was playing football at a really good level, and I stopped going to training just to play CS. And
The
I just
obsession got him.
Yeah.
I just love CS. That's what I always say. It's like it's just I fall in love with CS. I remember what made me fall in love in CS is that okay, I have a really good memory. So I will tell you that I think the Cybercafe opened in February 2007. Okay, so the beginning of February, and maybe 2 weeks after, like it was two brothers that had this Cybercafe, and they were like a small LAN event close to my town, and both of them bring the team in the Cybercafe to do a small bootcamp before going to the LAN event. So they did like 3 or 4 maps against each other.
Okay.
And me, I was going left and right in both rooms, and I was like, okay, this is like I heard. Back then, they were shit.
Yeah.
It was just me. I was even more shit. And I heard them like, yeah, we should do that. You should play in this corner. I was like, and I was feeling the same that I was playing with sports, you know, like cohesion and talking together and having the same goal. I was like, okay, it's just too fun. I want to do the same. I want to have a team. I want to do LAN events. And then I did the LAN event like 5 months after. But that was just too fun to hear those guys just talking together about just a game that back then I didn't know, but I just enjoy watching that. So I was like, okay, I want to do that as well.
Yeah. That's one of the keys, right? It's like talking theory with other people.
Yeah.
We never have to talk theory with like our group because we're watching the pros and talking about what they do.
Yeah.
But the theory of talking about like things with your friends or with your teammates is like, okay, so I'll bait from you from window and you play here and then you swing on, like, that's some of the best parts about Counter-Strike, because when those things,
some of the most important
And then
parts
when
about
that works,
Counter-Strike.
just right after, you're like,
Yeah.
I knew it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that you've spent the time.
It's a very uniting experience
it's
as well.
so
Yeah.
good, like that, and it's not just go shoot people in the head.
Yeah.
Right.
It's way more than that. Just watching the other, imagine it works. I said to ZYwoo, do that, it's gonna work. And I know it gets an entry. I'm watching.
I mean, it's as much as it's just shooting people in the head as it is football. Just put the ball between the two posts,
Exactly.
right? But how do you get to that point when people are so good
That's the beauty.
at the game?
Yeah.
That's where the
With
beauty
the
of it
tactic,
comes.
with the technique, with the human being behind that. And I think what I prefer with CS, and it's not like CS itself, I think it's just that it's just people together,
Yeah.
and they have the same goal. Just you are like not 5-on because we know, but you have people that you don't know before. You go together and you have the same goal, and then you achieve, and maybe you're the best at something. And that's just the best thing, just to see that the way you grow from zero to the end. And I just love that. Actually, I'm a guy that love the process. I love the process. I know sometimes it's rough, but when I see the process, I'm like, what the fuck?
So there is a gym above us where they're constantly
okay,
dropping
yeah.
weights, and I think it somehow affects the pipes. So, there is dripping water every now and again.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah.
Just what we need with this laptop.
I was so confused.
So the laptop already having power issues.
yeah. Well, let's add some water to it. It'll be fun.
Okay, so Dan,
But-
you're gonna
No,
go
but
back to
just
the-
like it is true, it's gonna sound boring, but you don't really appreciate the highs without the lows, right? Like, I mean, for us, we had to like pay for our own travel to that Vienna tournament, like 2 trains. It was a nightmare, but then that just one win, that first win when you beat a team,
Big
and
win.
that really, I mean, you were good for a long time, like, and you had things in our game. We were never good. Our region was never good at anything. To beat a team that's ranked number 30 in the world, it's like incredible. It's like that realization that you have confirmation that what you're thinking about the game can actually work. And so far for that, it's like so rewarding. Like that.
for sure.
Well, I know all of us can, but with your career and how long it's been, and how many huge wins you have in majors and everything like that, I'm sure you probably have a win from 2010, 2009 that you can remember clearly, like that first big win.
I think that's 2011. With I talked about that before. It's the 3D Max against Very Games.
Yeah.
It's the fun part is that, like, back then we had a lot of French events that were pretty good, and all the best French team came there all the time. That was like just the fight. And
But what was that land called?
Maxland.
Okay.
And we had like the 4 best team back then. I think it was actually just to say that one of the Ragnam, the Very Games player, just said that he was counting all the other team were good, but not us. He did that. And then we played in semi, we won, and then we played against them in final, and we beat them like convincingly. I think we beat them. If I remember correctly, I think I do. I think we beat them 16-10 on Dust 2.
Okay.
Then we lost like 16-13 on Inferno, and we lost 16, and we won 16-6 on Train. And that was my first big LAN win. And I remember it was really insane to beat Fair Games because they were like so far the best. And I was playing with Shocks and Scream in that team. And yeah, that was like the first one, and that was close to my hometown. It was 25 kilometers away, and I have some friend that came to watch the games and everything. So yeah, that was the good old time. I have pictures from that, and I could find, and I had like a mug with my microphone, because I had a microphone without.
Yeah, you have the headset.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
microphone on your neck.
That's
a nicer
yeah.
one, like and back then, and yeah, that's just the good old time.
Yeah,
Just,
those were the
I will
days.
remember that as the first big win.
And I think that's like what you said about the kids nowadays, being like mostly about the game.
We're a fucking mess. This episode.
That's a good episode for sure.
Yeah.
This is gonna be
I
the
came
best.
because I watched the other. I felt really professional.
yeah, this is the definition of professional. It's our podcast. No, but it's also because for a lot of us, it started as a human thing, really, like competing, but also competing with your friends against other people.
Yeah.
It's not,
But we all knew each other. We kind of, when you went to French event, you all knew each other.
Yeah,
You see each other like almost
same thing.
twice a
You
month.
see the same people.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and You know, it was like big rivalry, and also like nowadays, like the young guys on Face it, before they become professional, they don't do LAN events.
Yeah.
Us, even though I was really a big noob, I was doing LAN events because I think it was fun to see everyone and just see the people you met online and everything.
And I think another thing is you never thought, you just did it because it was fun. You never thought you could make a living out of it. At best, you would think, okay, I could get some extra cash and maybe I can buy sneakers or a PC or a Sony PlayStation or something, right? But
exactly, that's the fun part. When I arrived in Very Games back then, we had 130 euro per month, okay? Plus the tournaments, I was about 500 euro per month. And for me, that was such a big change in life. I was 18, 19. I was like, okay, I was going to school. At the school, I was the king.
Yeah.
I had my own money. I had my own credit card, and I was making my own money, you know. And so that for me, that was a lot different. My dream was not to get the money we have right now, but just to live from it. Just imagine just having like a decent salary, and just I was a dream for me. And then of course everything escalated pretty well, and I'm not sad about that. But I wasn't thinking about that.
And I think because of that, also you would, you'd also value a lot getting to see the world through the game, and sure, it was easier back in the day in a sense of it wasn't as professional. We didn't have practice room, and you had to fill your time with something. So we'd maybe do a little bit more sightseeing and do some things around like the places you go to, but nowadays with how professional everything is, and these kids are coming in, like they're getting into, Face It with a clear goal to get to the pro level. And every Face It puck they play and Challenger and then FPL is like, I am putting on tape, film for people to see, to invite me to their team to join, which is also fair play, right? But I definitely, can relate to you, and like what you said, that sometimes it's hard to not speak, but relate to these younger players who've gone up that way, because it's hard to find a common tongue sometimes. Exactly. Like, sure, CS is the common tongue, but also, right, like you realize, which sometimes younger players don't realize, it's how well you'll play doesn't only depend on how well you know CS. Yeah. Actually, in some moments, it's the thing that matters the least. Right, it's more how you handle pressure, how
the human part you have with each other, and the way you have like the relationship between the team and everything. That's exactly like what those young guys don't understand, and they think that okay, it's all about my individual level, and I can, if I'm good, I'm gonna be a good teammate. But it's not how it works. But yeah, as I said before, I think those young don't come from sports, like traditional sports. And me, for example, I've been playing football like 12 years, and football, not soccer, okay?
that felt targeted. That felt a little bit targeted. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Fighting word.
but I think that's also like just knowing like the human part, because when you play Face, it's like doing alone in your home, and you don't know like really well the human part. I remember like we picked up Kyogen in Minnesota, and those guys are exactly like that. They didn't know what's like human relationship. They were a bit lost in that sense, and we had to teach them, like our kids, like you need to behave like that and this, and you need to do that. I remember Kyogen was the first. He took his first train to come at the bootcamp.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, you guys.
He came to a bootcamp. He didn't understand. He said, you have the. You don't speak English, so it's fine.
Got him.
But on train, it's written like class 1 or class 2, right?
Yeah.
And he had like the car 9. He said, why it's all car 2? The classic one. And it's just too fun when you see that. We had a meme with the French team, because I think Extase asked him, where are you right now? He said, I'm here. And he was taking his face. Picture. Easy.
Fair enough.
That's a good one. Like,
and no, when we asked each other where I am, I'm like, you mean I'm just here?
Well, I know. It's funny. Like I know of a player recently who I've promised not to name, but who has but listen to this. That's not the important part. Is who it is. But he comes from like a very, very small part of his country, and he doesn't understand how he'd never before seen a Coke dispenser. Like, you know, like when you go up to like get like a fountain Coke, you have your cup and you press it into the lever and Coke pours out. He didn't understand how that worked. He like had never seen it, had never dealt with it before.
Okay.
So like that was a whole learning experience, was just like going through that. And there are players like that throughout the scene. That's extreme.
Okay.
But like there's certain parts of things that like
That's
you
true.
are just like,
that's so true.
you're
I
like
can
there
say
is like this weird extra step that you, and I can say this too as a new dad, you don't realize how many things go into teaching. No, but you don't realize how many things go into teaching somebody how to do something,
Yeah, but
right?
it's,
Like
okay, but it's even that. So my family came over to Norway a couple of Christmases ago before COVID.
Sure.
Right? Now, my family are very well traveled. My parents have always traveled. They took me and my sister when we were very young. Like she was 7, I was 10. Like, we were going to Disneyland in America. We were going on long trips from Australia. We were doing like we did all this fun stuff. So my parents know how to travel.
Yeah.
They come over to Norway. They meet me in Europe. They forget how to travel. They're like, I guess Chad will work. Chad lives in Europe. I guess he'll work out everything with Europe, right? Like, Jason, I'm in charge of this holiday. I didn't even fucking book. Like, I think one of the things is when we get to travel and see this world, like when you're in an airport, well, I don't know if this is for you guys, but the first thing I'm looking for is, okay, you know, toilet signs, or like, where's my gate, or where's like, we're just so switched on
It's
to all
so
these
easy
things
for us.
because we do it all the time. But for other people, and we see this, I'm sure you guys see this, people who queue up as soon as they think we're boarding now, right? How many of us get up immediately? None of us.
Not
right?
anymore.
Yeah.
I'm lost all the time.
Because it's something we do all the time.
I get up immediately.
Yeah, because that's because you're a veteran. Jason.
I got one. I got high.
But you have special seats.
I got high status, and I know in Europe y'all don't give fuck all about the whole queue priority boarding groups or anything.
Depends on the country.
I'm in boarding group 3, and they're like, "Hey, boarding group 1," and I'm like, "Yep, see ya."
Oh,
get
so
away
you're
with
one
it.
of those people.
Yeah, all the
now.
time.
No, but it is
All
true,
the time.
Like, because
Jason.
I remember, dude, the first time I had to transit through Heathrow, like going to the US.
Heathrow is a nightmare.
That's an ordeal, like, you know, and I don't want to miss my flight. Obviously, you have no money to do anything, right? You're running. I remember first ever time I had to go. I think it was the event I did in Katowice, and I'm going and like I have a 2-hour layover in Frankfurt, and I'm like asking the guy, you know, like, are you sure, is this enough time? You know, I don't want to.
Yeah, of
you
course.
know.
But that's fun. When you hear those people like at the airport, now you're like, come on, mate.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
It's because like now you're so used to everything. It's like second nature to us, right? So when someone asks you about, like, my girlfriend is like, oh, is this like, you know, or this? And I'm like, yeah, you're fine. You just go there. But like for someone who doesn't do it 100 times a year like we do, obviously,
Yeah.
it's like especially those long haul ones, right, to
Exactly.
different continents. It's like, what is there's they imagine there's something different, right? It's not like all the other flights.
I remember doing that with my ex as well. Like just saying, okay, you do this, then you go there, and then you ask for that, and then you go left, and
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
I'm lost. I'm scared. No, it's so fucking easy. No worries.
Yeah. But it's an intimidating environment if you're not in it.
No, for sure.
To get back to Counter-Strike, I had a question. Since you've gone through, and I mean, all of us have gone through a Counter-Strike change, but you went through CS Source to CSGO. Now that we're going CSGO to CS2, does this kind of like period of impending change feel different than it did when CS2 was coming out?
Of course. And the first thing that comes to my mind is that, first of all, the change between Source and CSGO was a big difference. No,
Yeah.
the difference is not that big. It's a different game, but it's not that big.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of updates during the years and everything. The
Yep.
game got better. But when I remember when the Pro League of the first part of the season, when they said that they're gonna release a new game and everything, I remember that SPUNJ was really like also Magis. They were scared because
Yeah.
they never knew.
Yeah.
They never even knew about a new game. For them, they've been pro on one game, but they never switched to another.
Yeah.
And for them, they were really scared about like the whole thing about changing and all the games gonna be different. Are they gonna be good? Or
Losing
not?
their ability.
Exactly. So they just watched, they just played, and then they were like, oh, okay, it's not too much a big
Yeah,
change.
exactly.
And they were all like that. Me, I didn't care. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's gonna be Counter-Strike
Yeah.
still. I know that. Of course, it's gonna be a adaptation, and we'll all have to grind. But that's fine. That's how it is.
Yeah.
I accepted that a long time ago, so it's fine.
The bit that's surprising to me is talking to some pros and like with the change, and they go, yeah, but nuke, like the smoke walls are going to be different. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're going to have to invent the
Adapt.
new meta. Like
Yeah.
that's and as somebody who
That's
wasn't
now your
in-game-
job. Yeah.
exactly. As somebody who was an in-game leader, that is my favorite part about Counter-Strike, getting to use the tools available to work out the best way to approach a situation, or the most unique, or the most gimmicky, or the way that works for my players. Like that is the fun part of CS. That's the bit of
exactly.
CS that I fucking miss.
I'd argue like this is an interesting topic because nuke is the main one that people the smoke wall with the HE, right? But I'd argue the CTs are better off not breaking it, because you'll see like some people will break it and then there's an op there, but what if there's 4 Ts behind that smoke
That's why
and you break it and 4 guys are looking at you?
everyone
Do
has
you-
an angle to ult
because
and,
when we watch the games all the time with X-ray and shit, and a lot of times like the span through the smoke is doing a lot of damage. Even the tap, like sometimes you get kills. Why would you like
That's true. If
Yes.
you know the timing,
they can do a combo HE plus flash.
Yeah.
And then everyone is at the
okay,
middle and
but then you need to dedicate how many players to that play, right? So it's like this is the fun part about
And
it.
that
also
takes
as
coordination,
T, also
yeah.
as T, you can do the wall of smoke.
Blow
One
you
is
up in
holding
your
one
own.
angle, you do one HE, and boom,
And
have
you
angle.
clear, yeah.
There are like so many ways to think, and I think you can use it in your advantage as well.
Yeah.
But that's what we're gonna see, and I'm excited about new things. I think it's always good to have new things.
I think it's crazy though at this moment of where to start, because I was thinking we come into this Pro League season. You and I were talking about this a bit before, like, okay, so this is a bit more driven by us on the broadcast and trying to work out what to do and what to talk about. And I was thinking, okay, so if I was going to turn this into like a me talking to some of our guys who have never played Team Counter-Strike, like Harry and Hugo, for example, like they play Counter-Strike, they played a lot of CSGO, they know how to shoot, right? They understand Counter-Strike, they watch a lot of it, but in terms of Team CS, they've never played it. And if Hugo's going to listen to this and it's going to put his nose out of joint again, but it's just true. Like, if you've never played Team Counter-Strike, then you don't actually understand like talking theory with your team on like all the detailed levels.
Yeah.
And I was doing this back in 1.6, all the source days. You're coming up with documents and working these things out, and now we move into a new era where all that has to be discussed, but where do you start, right? Like, so the maps are very similar, but our timing's different at all. Like, one of the first things my mind comes to is, okay, ancient spawns are different. Well, if ancient spawns are different, that's essentially going to you don't play it, so you're lucky. But the T spawns are further back now. So the CTs, like it was before, can fight mid and cave and get control 99.9% of the time, because the T's just can't take those 50-50 joules the same way. So, okay, so in my mind, it's like, all right, well, let's check all the spawn timings again. And then after you learn all the spawn timings of everything, okay, what do we layer on top for our opening moves? What do we want to block? What do we want to flash? And then that's how we have to build. But the problem is everybody's going to approach situations just like CSGO. Like, we're going to block banana the same way. Like, when I play Inferno CS2 now, I block it the same way. I'll throw the car molly, okay? And then if I'm scared, I'll throw the half-wall smoke. Okay, well, now I have banana control and they can't do shit. But I'm just curious how much of that stays and how much of it is completely new, because Inferno is probably the best example, not in terms of smokes, but in terms of skyboxes being open.
Yeah.
Rops has come up with shit already that just blocks T-stairs. Like, it's just from spawn, T-stairs blocked, you can have mid and banana control. Like, are we okay with that? Like, when I say we, I mean the greater Counter-Strike community, because now we have to explore all of these things. Imagine the first CS2 event, everyone's blocking T-stairs, CTs have second mid.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Well, that's how CSGO was at one point. Like I still even remember in the early days, like someone like invents like a new smoke or new strategy
From
that's
Arch,
OP.
You could smoke banana from
Yeah.
Arch, and you have 3 smokes banana.
You
back
can
then.
do that in CS2 as well.
Yeah. But that's the fun part. And what you say, it was the same on Anubis. Like, when we started Anubis, the first thing we checked with the matches was the spawns.
Yes.
Where are we facing each other? Okay, this is tough to get. This is really easy. And that's exactly what you need to look at. And I think that's the fun part. Like, for me, most likely as in game leader, it's just to be to be one step. And this step doesn't work for 2 months. This step works for 1 event, and maybe 2 if you're lucky. And then you have to think again how you make this step even better. And that's exactly what I love about CS. But of course, like, actually what's happening, I think, in general in CS is that 2% do the work and the other copy.
Yes.
I think that's about like 2%. I'm
Well,
too
most
kind, I would say.
most teams don't have the patience and fortitude, I would say, to like try and invent something new. Because when you're trying to invent something new, it's
gonna
going to
fail.
fail.
Yeah.
It's going to fail. And the only way to truly invent something new that actually works is to stress test it, is to find out all the ways it's going to fail. and put up with those ways. And I think most teams, and again, especially with like younger players and inexperienced people and players, is they're going to give up. They're going to get frustrated and say, no, this doesn't fucking work. Let's get it out. And you're like, no, like this concept works. Like we need to find the right way to do it at the right moment to execute it.
But look, I mean, you know, the fun part in the team, for example, we always really happy say, I invented that. You know, for example, I mean, for we use magic from say, this nade, I invented this nade or this combo, for example.
Yeah.
And now everyone do that, and that's, I think I'm proud of that. When I'm saying, okay, we like, I remember watching like Ends doing a strat that I was doing in 2020 when I started coding, and I'm like, okay, that's fun to see that again. I know it's me that created that because I was alone on the server. I think that's, for me, it's a lot of valuable to just create a thing, and that works, and that is the meta right now, you know. But yeah. As I said, I don't think that many people do that because they're scared and they're scared of failure. But I think it's just the funniest part to do that.
Do you think there, like if CSGO still had, if we just like hit pause and like extended CSGO for like 2 more years, is there still more? Do you think to invent and discover? Is there something that you've wanted to try?
Look, at Gambit, they arrived in 2021 and they played the unique playstyle.
Yeah.
They played the unique playstyle that worked.
Now Cloud9 for those who might not know.
But they played such a good playstyle.
It influenced other teams a little bit in their own micro decisions.
Like
at the very
you couldn't
least.
over-rotate too much because they always have one lurker really aggressive and they were really sharp individually. So you had to find a way.
Them and VP in the online era had like really new ways to be positioned on the map.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think CS, you can always, of course, we get even deeper and deeper and deeper, but I think you can always reinvent. I think that every year you have better ways to play CS, and sometimes fast, sometimes slower. I think you can get new strat, new combo, and
I really wonder, like sometimes it feels like it goes in a circle in a way because things counter each other, you know.
Some strat does.
Like you look at like Mirage, for example, now T side, like people, there's so many things you can do. It's like actually that's why that's why a lot of teams don't like it, because it's very hard to connect things because you could do so much. So nowadays I feel like, let's say, just for the sake of the discussion, like if you did nothing on the map, like no mid smokes at the start, and you go and you throw bench and stair smoke, 95% of teams would think, okay, this is just to go out mid or to do something else. They wouldn't think you're actually going A. It would be like, it wouldn't make sense that you're not going to try to do anything else before doing that. So, well, if that's the case, then if you do that, and just go out, well, then probably there's just one guy like Ticket or somewhere, and there's a guy Con, Window Cat, and they're expecting something else to happen. This is like too simple for it to be what this team is going to do.
It's the same on Nuke. I know that sometimes that's why I said to my team, let's not do any wall of smoke outside, and let's do executing. People, they will be like, okay, they do a slow default. Yeah, they will throw smoke later, so we can stay to outside. And then you execute it, and they're like, what the fuck? And then that's why sometimes the meta changes a bit. That while there is no smoke outside, one of the guy inner is just getting closer to play 3, and those kind of stuff. But for a long time, I remember I was calling inner, like strat at 120, only 2, and that was easy because there were 2 outside.
I saw that even today in your game.
On
no, on Nuke.
On Nuke?
Yeah, and I kind of called it. It's like I called it out in a sense of like, oh, this was a little bit weird. It was when you went ramp, and then there was just one guy cutting off rotation. Like one guy stayed indoor. I think it was Spinks, and you were going down. But for Monty, it was like, well, there was nothing out. They didn't do what you thought because they're just probably like thinking more simple way. But yeah, now that you say it that way, it's like. Yeah, it in that way it makes sense.
But it's the same. So, but like some of this stuff is like just subverting the expectation of your opponent, right? Like something Monty did well on both Anubis games in the last couple of days was it was one against Fnatic and then one against you guys today. Is they just like have these pace changes and they just go all in A. Yeah. Like they go direct A, just do an execute, and because they've conditioned you on the rest of the map to have to be strong mid or strong B, like it just works. They get a free site and they win a round. They look like fucking geniuses. The other day against Fnatic, it was literally a unicorn round. Fnatic lost the site completely. All 5 players on both sides of the server stayed alive, and it's like that's just through pace calling, right? Yeah, and that's just through. But when we look at like the upper echelons, and Yanko's talking about a lot about this lately, and I agree. But it's if you want to be a top team, you have to be great at default. Like if you can't. But that's one of the things with the way that you in-game lead, I feel that there's parts of like you calling like old CS which works great. Like when on Overpass, when
it
you
depends
guys
the maps actually. It depends the maps.
okay,
On some, yes, but on Inferno I call default 24/7 because it's a default map.
yeah, well, no one has a lot of set pieces on Inferno, right? There's
Exactly.
some, but not a lot.
Mirage, I call, but you need to exploit mid anyway. But on some other, I think that's. I mean, we've been the best nuke team for the last 8 months, and yeah, we call execute. But I know what I'm calling.
Nuke's the best example of that, though.
Well,
Nuke can be an
Overpass-
execute heavy.
But
Overpass is another good example of like not a set piece, like it's not from a
You
strat
cannot
book,
set piece.
Yeah.
but some of the stuff you do is like we always talk about it when Vitality's playing is when, and you're leading the pack because as an in-game leader, you're setting the pace for the round, but you smoke front bathrooms, maybe you throw the divider molly, and then you just walk up and you just snake walk the whole way through and then you explode and they don't expect it because they're basing it on standard timings and one guy taking connector control and one guy outside B and then they're like, fuck, 5 guys
Depends
in
what
our
you do
face.
on the other side of the map as well, like the pressure you put on the right and how many they think you are and what you've done the last few rounds and like a T side is a story, and
Yes.
you can just say what story you will do today, and I think that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot about that.
with Vitality, even when you guys had the full French lineup and with Extaz, I think it was always a team that was good at being one step ahead of the meta, sort of,
Okay.
and understanding what the meta is and what, at least like what the best teams, how they're doing. I remember we stole a lot of things from you guys on Mirage. Like you were one of the first guys who were just like walking out taps without anything, right? With throwing stuff mid, which was like now it's a kind of it's like common, but back then it's like because what would happen? You throw like the top mid window smoke and molly and flashes and shoot and the cat guy hears the underground guy running. So like this is a default. So your con guy would be con and the WAP would be somewhere and then there's just the A anchor and also depending on depending like the tendencies of that player, it would maybe be ramp or apps or 2-1 or whatever, and then it's like it's so simple, but it actually it makes sense in that, and that's the thing. Like things don't have to be super complex for it to work.
Do you have an era of Counter-Strike that you really look back on and loved playing in, like in terms of the meta, in terms of the gameplay of that time?
The CZ from LDLC.
LDLCZ.
No, I don't know. Actually, that's the same when people ask me about an in-game leader that I'm looking up. I'm not looking at anyone specifically. And
but you're a unique in-game. Well, maybe not unique, but like you weren't ever positioned to be an in-game leader until the day you were. Like I'm sure you have in-game leaders that you look up to because you had to be from the start in Australia.
Yeah.
And I know like my brother was an in-game leader and he has all his in-game leaders that he loved watching their games, but like you were pure entry fragger for years and years and years, and then it was like, oh yeah, I'll try my hand at it.
I think this is a good moment for you to tell us how did this come, your moment?
Yeah, what was the
realization? Like, I want to do this, or
well, actually, I always been in every team I play with. I always been implicated in the strategic parts. I love that. I love the strategic. I created strats. I remember in like the 3D Max team I told you before in 2011. I missed school just to do strats with my in-game leader.
Sure.
I just love that, and it was part of me. Even though I had a crazy playstyle, I just loved this tactical parts. And for a long time, of course, my the way I was as a human was pretty tough to be in game leader because I didn't want to try something that I wouldn't succeed. That's not the way I am. And if I do something, it's because I know 100% I can do it. And when Alex back then stopped and he just got benched and like I really liked him as in game leader. I felt like finally I found the guy that I could play with and I could like co-lead because I've always been a co-leader. And then Extaz came to me and said, I think it's your time. I said, okay, fair enough. I thought about it a little bit, but I think I need to think about it. And I was like, okay. I thought about it for 3 days and I said, okay, I think it's time. Let's go. Let's try it. But the mistake I didn't want to do is try it for too long. And if it didn't work, I didn't want to be in game leader for 2 years and not succeeding at that. I hate that. It's something that I don't like. And then I started to take it really like personally and be, once again, I said it at the major after the major final, but
it was a great line.
No one believed. I mean, I remember this tweet, and I think I had 95% of bad comments, and I think like it's fair that people didn't believe in me because how many players we saw in the past trying to be in game leader.
Yeah.
It didn't work out.
I think
Like so many.
I think it's because people didn't know you really.
Yeah,
I mean, I
also.
know now way more about you than then. Like people didn't know about your passion. I think it's just that.
We knew
okay.
about his reactions.
No, we don't.
though.
We
had
don't need
plenty
to.
of
We
Apex
don't.
reactions.
We don't. We
The
don't.
memes.
We didn't need to know that you were like a co-leader in your past teams, for example. It wasn't even that, but to know how passionate you were about the game and how seriously you took it, I think that would have changed a lot of people's perception. But yeah, considering that your play style was super brute force, and with in-game leaders you consider like it need to have nuance and finesse and stuff. Yeah, there were a lot of doubters.
Well, there's been a
Jason was the biggest one.
Yeah, you could have heard Jason, man. Fucking cringe. This
Well,
guy could have
all the time. That sounds like me. No, but I mean, there was like, you've had a progression as an in-game leader where your style has developed. Because I even remember watching you. We played you when I was coaching Liquid on a Mirage game, and we went into that game. Like honestly, like so excited to play against your Mirage because we felt like your Mirage was very readable at the time because you like to call on momentum a lot. You like tried to like do the whole thing where like we've abused A, now we're going to switch to B. So we felt like we knew when we could call those switches were coming. And I think today's apEX as an in-game leader would be much harder to read.
I hope so. I hope so.
But like, like you probably have felt over the years of you in-game leading that progression of being like, okay, I'm ready for the next step. I'm ready to add a new layer. I'm ready to add another one.
I think so. I think I obviously I changed from the first year I've been in game leader because I think when you were like the Liquid coach, it was in 2020 or 2021.
2020, and it's 2020, early
so
2021.
it was like my first year as in game leader.
Yeah.
So obviously that changed a lot, and
Sure.
also what you need to look at, it's also the players you have and what you can get from the players. And for example, the map control for a long time on Mirage, even with my international team, it was not a thing. It didn't work for us. We didn't have the player to get like the right decision and like because when you do that, it's also having the right information to give to in-game leader and to do the right call. And for a long time, I had to play just straight calls or like doing fast calls. Fast default or that kind of stuff. So, of course, back then it was way less good, but it's also the players. Like in 2021, when I have to play with Kyochin and Mizuta, I need to adapt my playstyle.
Yeah.
And we still beat every team except Navi.
I think
we had the worst. I think, of course, we had ZYwoo, and ZYwoo is
ZYwoo
is there, and I have nothing to say about this guy. He's too good. But we had of course we had Shocks as experienced player, but the two other had no experience, and I think we are in terms of like per firepower, we had like less than every other team. So I had to have one step forward. Every other teams, otherwise we would have lost.
I think
it's almost like a crutch then, right? Like, he's having to call a crutch round because it's making up for people who are insufficient as being players.
Absolutely, right? But I think I did the World Finals in 2021 for Blast, and I think you were the in-game leader of the year in their thing, right? And I was part of voting that, and I said like even Xtaz was second to Blade, but if Navi didn't win so many tournaments, I think he would have gotten it as well because Xtaz as the coach, right? Like instead of Blade, but
I agree,
you couldn't give it to him because Navi won so much. But because you take into account that you've just had a full year with Misuta, who was a complete rookie, and you finally got him to a decent level where he has a decent understanding on stuff, and then now you get Kyojin, who's like probably worse than Misuta in terms of his starting point when it comes to like tier 1 CS and team CS and everything, and still you manage to have such good results over the year. I think I definitely factor that in because I know how hard it is, first of all, just any roster change for in-game leader and coach, because they're the ones who have to, you have to go through the fucking spots again. Like, how do we call this? Starting from that, then to all the more complex things, and to keep a team competitive and be a contender is anything but easy, and that impacts so I think that was like a really tough, and people, majority of people only look at results and they're like, oh yeah, like if you guys would have sucked, everyone would have been on your ass, right? And like there would be a lot more comments if you did really poorly, despite having like rookies, because you have ZYwoo and Shocks and yourself. But when you did so great, I feel like you didn't get enough praise for what you did. It's like, yeah, you weren't the best team in the world, but the fact that you were right up there with Navi, considering like some of the rookie players that you had, I think that was like a great feat.
But that's the blessing and the curse of having ZYwoo on your roster, right?
No, but
The expectation when you have one, like same
exactly.
with
No,
Navi
but
now.
that's true. When you have ZYwoo, you expect to win. I mean, people expect ZYwoo to win because he is one of the two best player ever on CS.
You also expect,
of course,
for yourselves
of
to,
course,
yeah.
when I play like, with him. Of course, I do. But yeah, for example, for 2021, like, you know, I don't know. I had this talk like few days ago about look at our lineup and look at Navi lineup. So Simple was the best player probably ever of a player.
Yeah.
So he was better than ZYwoo, our best player.
Yeah, okay.
Then you look at 1v1, you look at Bit versus Mizuta, you look at Electronic against Shocks, and then you look at the Perfecto against Kyojin,
yeah.
and then me against Boom.
You're the only one who wins.
And but you see, I mean, how could we win those games? I remember doing perfect calls sometimes and just getting 3 kills by perfect on B or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember that so well. That was just impossible. I think it's not to praise myself, but also I think something that people underrated a bit is also the online era, the way we took it, us. Because for us, it's the way I started in game leading. So for me, that was really important to perform, because if I didn't perform in my role, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Sure, yeah.
So for me, that was really important to be good. And I think with the lineup we had, I mean, Ixaz and me together, and Matt as well, the assistant coach, we did such a good work to make those tournaments important for everyone. So we went a lot to bootcamp, as you guys.
You guys were always in the office.
Exactly. Yeah. We went to bootcamp because we wanted to, you know, I think that, like, for example, FaZe are really poor years at that moment, because I just felt like it didn't matter. Are we not online or whatever? I think that's exactly what those guys.
I think a lot of teams felt that way at the time.
But us, we didn't say that because, but what can we do?
Yeah.
What can we do about that?
This is just the world right now.
Fight.
Yeah.
We don't know how long it can be. It can be 2 years, it can be 6 months. But let's give everything for it.
Yeah.
And what I'm happy with is that we've made like 6 finals during that year. We won 2, and we had me as new in-game leader. We had Mizuta as a new young player, and then we pick up Nivera, and we became really good.
Oh, the Nivera 6-man roster.
Yeah, I'm just proud of all the players as well, even though people don't estimate it that well. I think it was important.
I wanna ask you about something, because in 2020 in Katowice we played. You know, I was in FaZe, and it was a close game. Yeah, we beat you guys, but something that was very like painfully obvious to me is in between maps we go out and it's 5 players in me on FaZe, and there's like 17 Vitality people. And for me, Vitality is one of the orgs I hold in the highest regard in terms of all the decisions they made with their rosters. Yes, and how much support they give to people. And that it just feels like one of the orgs, they do things the correct way, from the money they invest to the roster changes to how much focus they put on the support staff. So tell us a little bit about, like, just, you know, Vitality, but also what sort of people are involved in your team outside of the coach, right? Matt as the assistant coach, all of people.
We spoke to Lars.
Yeah, we've spoken to him as well. So how is it like to be a part of Vitality?
Well, I've been in Vitality, of course, for 5 years already.
Because also, but also you've been in, you know, you've been in the previous teams and good orgs, right? But that was different times when that wasn't as much emphasis. But I was going to say, you've been in, you know, when it was just the 5 players, then you've been where you had a coach, then you've been in the one where maybe you have 1 or 2 extra guys, and now this is like the top. So how does it feel?
Well,
and what's it like?
I joined Vitality in 18, and I think like the model they wanted to have is picking up like also like former like sport players, like as a bit as Solis have done in the past as well with Kasperwitz and that kind of guys, just to have like another like eyes from the outside that know really like traditional sports,
that know competition on a high level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all about the competition itself. So first of all, it's just good to feel like to have the right people with you. I mean, we had a lot of like mental coach in the past, and we tried a lot of things like the Katowice you talked, and that time was a mess. But back then, it wasn't like the right solution. But it was also new for them, Vitality. They had to find the right people that could work, as we said, like to work with maybe esport players, because
Different
they
beast.
may be
Yeah.
different person than like sport, like football, like anything. So finding the right people just to help the guys, and they always been like good at that, at just providing those things and just providing the best, because they also hearing like what is important for us, and for us, like what, for example, was important is of course to have a coach, to have assistant coach nowadays, and it's just a basic thing right now. To have a manager taking care of everything, and also having like the performance coach just to rely on him, and just all this kind of stuff. And
Well,
for
you guys
me,
have
it's
4
really
with
important.
you, right? You're 4
Yes,
with
we
you
nine.
every
We
time.
nine at every tournament.
Matthew, the
We have
Olympic.
3 Matthew in the team.
Okay.
The Olympic medalist, Matt,
Yeah.
and ZYwoo.
Yeah.
There were 3 Matthew in the team.
Pesh, right?
Yes, Pesh, that's how we call him.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's anyway, it's needed. You see that every team now has a mental coach. Every team has a.
I imagine it
assistant
takes a
coach.
lot of responsibility off of you as well, though, right? Like in the sense that in-game leaders back in the day used to be the manager and have to do all the strategies
And the mental coach.
and the mental coach, whereas now you're like, you guys take care of this.
No, but you still have a big voice. You're gonna be more listened than your mental coach.
Yeah.
If you say something to your players, I think you're gonna. If you say the right words, his job gonna be get a lot easier. He has nothing
Sure,
to do
okay.
at some point. So for me, it's
But you are that like nucleus of connecting like the 3 different departments,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
responsibility.
you have different responsibilities. Just like you need to like connect to all of them, because for example, you need to have a good relationship with the coach. You need to have really good relationship with the mental coach, and just because then he tells you what's wrong or what's good for you. And I think it's just really nice to have just the right people around you to help you.
What's it like, because I remember there was a video of you guys from the Stockholm major, and there's like an ex-Taz speech after I think you lost the first map, and he goes outside and he's giving you guys this like rallying speech, and we all know like existence and shocks and stuff, but if is there apEX speeches that are like epic level fucking?
Of course. I mean, for me, what's really important is not only being in game leader, it's being a captain.
Missing my phone. Keep going.
This fucking guy, man. He was sitting on it.
Sitting on it.
Okay,
He sat on it.
We're gonna come back to you talking about speech in a second, but we just need to say, if anybody at home has a
Stop.
child,
Oh, you
at any
do get
point,
so stupid.
it's called fucking dad or mum brain, because this guy, every time he's come around to my fucking house, he's left something, or he's left it in the hotel room.
It's
He came
so
around,
embarrassing.
Came around, left his watch. Come around, left this, left that, losing this. His brain, it doesn't work properly.
Last time it was a bottle of whiskey, right?
It left a bottle of whiskey.
Did you bring that?
No.
Shit.
Yeah, that's a phenomenon, and one that we'll have to explore.
I'm actually so stupid these
It's
days.
okay, Jason. You
Go
don't
on.
sleep a lot.
Right.
apEX
Sorry,
speeches.
The apex
apologize.
speeches.
No, I think that's for me what's even more important to be than just being in game leader is just to be a captain. I think that's really key, and it's really rare nowadays. I just feel like people are just in game leader or the captain.
Well, I felt like Alex was just an in-game leader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And some others as well. I mean, I will not go too far because I will say a lot of shit about everyone. But
He looked at the camera when he said
exactly.
that.
but for me being a captain and being really trusted by the players, and that was a big deal for me when the Danes arrived, because I was like, okay, best coach of all time, players that won a lot of tournaments. They play with the best in game, one of the best in game leader of all time, and everything. So I was like, okay, I need to show them what I'm capable of. And actually, when Zonik arrived, he said, yeah, you want on the. He saw also the work I've done with the French teams, and that we beat them quite often with the lineup we had that was worse than them. Obviously, that wasn't only about me, but like of course the old coach and ZYwoo and everything. But he saw like all the games we had and everything. But for me, that was a big challenge at some point, to just be sure that I could win with those guys and that I could be trusted and everything. I took a long road to get where we are, but that just that we went from everything kind of.
I don't know if we ever verbalized it on like a broadcast or anything, but I know when I saw Zonic join Vitality, one of the thoughts in my head was like, you have this weird situation where like the power structures kind of reside in 2 different people,
Exactly, like
in 2
3 and
different
3.
camps. Like you had
Kinda
like
strange.
like that had to have
Friends of
been.
the days.
Was that like resolved?
Well, we know it wasn't,
not
right?
not like resolved, but like that had to have been
There was clearly like in the beginning when it merged.
It's always going to be there in
there
the
was
beginning,
the
right?
attempt of the blending of the styles, right? Like of the way that you guys approached the game and the way they wanted.
Well,
It was really tough.
I remember what event you gave the interview, but you gave an interview once that was like, I am the in-game leader, and I have just now started to say we're doing things my way.
This is the start of this year.
Was that the
Yes.
start of this year?
That was so important for me because in 2022 we wanted to play a more slower play,
Yeah.
and I think for international team it's a lot harder to play really slow play. Like
Sure.
like a lot of teams, I think you need to adapt more like more just structure and fast pace and everything. I think it's more needed because you have
Well,
less
slower
good
play,
communication.
yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
really different way to play CS. We try to say, I try to say to players, you should do like that. But it was my way and the way we used to do in French team. But that wasn't the way the Danes did. So we had to, we had to fix those things. And for me, at some point, like just of course we do defaults, but doing just that wasn't my idea of CS as well. My idea is just to, as we said, to change the momentum, to do map control and to leave the players sometime. In the French team, for example, I wasn't like that because I didn't have the players as well. I needed to adapt to the players because I didn't have players that could take initiative by themselves and doing the right thing and doing a double entry, just saying, I do that. And
So
it's gonna work. Back then I couldn't do that.
I have a question because this is something that I felt, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. At the start of that year, you made changes and G2 made changes, right? At the same time. And you both were like 2 and 3. Navi was 1, you were 2 and 3, right? And I felt that you both failed compared to what you wanted to do in the first 6 months. And then G2 made extra changes and whatnot. And I felt one of the reasons was that you made changes in order to become number 1.
Yes.
And you're already really good, but now you've changed from being on a really good level, especially for you guys, because you had a full French lineup and you guys were close. And, you know, like we all remember like the emotional sort of ending for you at the World Finals at the end of 2021. So that's an insane amount of pressure to put on the people who are there and also the people who are coming in, because we made these changes to be number 1. So that means if we don't end up being number 1, everything else is a failure, right? Nothing else matters. And I feel like that's also, no matter, and you guys, you just talked about that you have an incredible support staff, but even with them trying to, you know, understanding that and they want to talk it through, I feel like that's just so hard for the players to deal with. So, and I felt like for you and G2, that really hindered both teams, you know, because you could tell every time you play, you and G2, every time you play, you guys are not having fun playing. It's just stressful. Even when you win, you don't feel happiness, you feel relief, because that's what you're supposed to be doing. And it's not an environment in which
It's not healthy.
you can get, yes, it's not healthy, and it's hard to become the best with that, because it's just you're stressed out the whole time, and to play well, you have to be loose, you have to feel it, you have to not worry about fucking up, you have to play to win and play not to lose, and that's almost impossible when you're so stressed.
No, I think you're right. I think it's something that you don't see when you play. Sometimes you just like having the
Blinders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just going and going and going. But I think that was exactly about that. That's what changed a bit in the beginning of the year, because we were like a bit, guys, it's now or never. Because if it's not gonna work after of the Paris major, I think it's going to be rough for us to stay together. It's going to be rough because, of course, Vitality have some expectations. And so we took it like a way differently, like, guys, we need to go now. It's now. It's now. We need to do everything. We need to do our best and everything. And we changed our minds back then. I mean, at the beginning of the year compared to 2022. But yeah, 2022 was, wow. At some point at the end, I was like, I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. I was out of ideas. I tried everything with the players, and I don't know what to do. And then we had a different plan, and we changed our mind on a lot of things, and we changed also the play style, and it fits better to everyone. And I also give, as I said, during my 2 years in the French teams, I didn't give much like space to the players because they were
Couldn't
not able.
trust them.
They were not
Yeah.
able to do it.
Yeah.
I knew that I had to control everything. I was micromanaging like crazy back then, like for just crazy. And now I also understood that I needed to give more freedom. But how to give more freedom? Just give more freedom? No, it's not working. You need to just build something with the frame.
Yeah.
So I tell him, you can do this, but we do this for you. And it's more like the way I see CS. But if you have a gut feeling, go for it. For sure, go for it. But otherwise, if it's a call, like I like to work like that with a player. What you like to do? I like to pick there. Okay, how we gonna build this run for you to have the best situation possible? How this guy gonna get blind? How this guy gonna be smoked? Or we molly here or whatever? And I love to work in that way now. That before I was just more team. So team call from the first time, or doing map control, being like really strict about the map control, and then doing a finish. But I couldn't like leave too much to the players back then because it wasn't possible. Or I would have lost.
You leave them the freedom and they don't do anything with
to
it.
give more freedom at some point.
Yeah.
It was a mess. And CS is really fast. You cannot leave 6 months to a team to say, yeah, we have 6 months. We have 6 months to be good at map control.
Bro, I love this. I love this because now I hear from some teams, well, we're a new team and we need 9 months. Well, we change in this summer and by the CS2 major we'll be fine. It's like, no. Fuck you.
It's not possible.
That shouldn't be like the standard. You shouldn't. I'm not gonna tolerate that shit. I'm gonna be calling you out. You can't have fucking Cloud9 already not being able to make the fucking playoffs. And I don't care that Eternal Fire now is in the quarterfinals and they just
got knocked out. They
Navi.
lost, yeah.
Yeah, they lost to Navi. And people are gonna be like, oh yeah, but look at Eternal Fire. It was just a crazy tournament for them. No. Like with those 5 players, you need to have figured it out by now, like Navi did. If Navi can do it, Navi went from like full Ukrainian, Russian to international, talking in English. Bit can't say 3 words of English. You have JL in there, God knows why. Alexi and Blade hate each other. And still they're in playoffs. They're in the semifinal. I'm exaggerating.
Wild
He's bugging the
assumptions.
forums right
But-
now. You
but-
HLTV forum. Right,
Yeah.
a second.
But they got there, right? So thank you, Dan, for saying that. Like, people should have,
Well,
like
how
sure.
long? How long should it take?
How long do you give a new roster?
to be
To have results, not to win.
not to win?
3 months,
Okay,
3-4 months.
that's reasonable.
And to be fair, that's what Blade said for Navi. He said, by Pro League, we'll know, if we can make this work or not, right? Not necessarily that they'll win, but if it will start
If
looking
it's in the
like
right
something
direction, yeah.
or not.
Probably is the good moment because it's not like the most important tournament for the teams.
Yeah.
To be honest. So
And it's a lot of games.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's
a lot of
break between the
forgiveness
two
built
games.
into this format.
Yes.
But I wanted...
Until you get to the playoff.
It's not the most important tournament anyway. So.
I wanted to ask you one more thing
Fuck
about...
CSGO. CS2's out now. Fuck this game.
Yeah.
I was already on CS2 myself. I called the strat that I will call on CS2.
Exactly. No, but you changed like some things about the calling, about not this year, but I felt like even though it was really painful at start, the way your season went actually was really good for you. Like you had in Katowice that horrible loss to Liquid, right?
What's up, baby?
Where are they now?
But yeah, and
Where are they
then,
now,
then you
bitch?
go to Pro League and you guys are playing well. Then the Ends game, Vertigo, right?
14-11.
The
Classic.
peak against the Tech 9, right? And that was also a really painful loss. But then you go to the RMR, right?
He's just
And you
torturing
guys-
him at this point. Let me go through the list of failures you've had.
No, because I don't.
Hey Dan, you remember that time on that?
Yeah, because he peaked from gap for no reason. Like,
they flashed for him at least.
well, great flash.
was-
That's blame it on the flash.
That's true though. No, but that
I know, he
I
wasn't-
missed the flash. At 15-14, and then it's all my fault. Oh, we have MP9, 1M4, 3 diggers, and no, but we're gonna play passive on site. No worries, mate. Blame ZYwoo for one.
It's like, and Dan dies, and then there's no regress, and he's sitting there just fucking fuming. Why is no one taking info? We're in a number disadvantage.
What a horrible call at this moment of the game.
Why did apEX push?
But from that point on, you go to the RMR. Obviously, your goals were set on Paris anyway. You are great there in the placement games.
Forget about the Jack situation.
Oh yeah, shit. Actually, that's a good point. Well, yeah, Jax played for you in the groups, right? Yeah, and
Feels
I
like
said
it
that.
put
Okay,
Dupree
thank
on
you,
the right
Chad.
path.
No, thank you, Chad. You really helped me with this one because I talked to you about the atmosphere and the tense and the stress, and I said that coming into the tournament for you guys with Jackie, there's none of that. That guy is all like. So I felt like
He's
him
got
being,
such a
him
wild
being on the
energy.
team for you guys. You might get like a reminder. Hey, this is supposed to be fucking fun. You know, this shouldn't feel like stressful all the time. I'm playing Counter-Strike for a living. This should be an amazing thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So was that like, did that happen to some extent?
So with Jax, we played two days of practice before, and just before we started, I told Zonic, okay, we don't have much time to prepare, and I know how we're gonna play. We're just gonna play full fast. Jax is good entry fragger. I know how to set up him exactly.
Set him up.
Yeah, set him up. Thank you. And I know what to do. So let's do that and let's have fun because he's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine as well. So that's apps.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's full on in with that. And yeah, we went through the group stage and that helps. And then that helps a lot regarding like Dupree, as you said. That's for me. I really need an entry fragger as in game leader. I really need someone like more dedicated entry fragging, not only me. So like just having someone that is ready to be like me and go on the flashes, on the nades, exactly, and believing in those things and the strats. And for me, it's such an important thing for as in game
for any in game leader.
But,
I'd imagine,
but one of the things, right?
But sorry, just want to finish on on my thread was so that happened, and then you even had Rio after the RMR, which is like. You probably hated. Actually, I remember you guys were saying openly. It's like, oh, we're so wrecked, we're going there. But you had really important wins there, in because of how you won, right? Like to come back against Cloud9,
10-0 down on the vertical second map.
Exactly. So you went from in a span of 2 months from the Liquid game to the Cloud9 game. Now you're the ones who come back.
Exactly.
And just lifting the trophy, it doesn't matter that, you know, it was Rio and the major is around the corner and, you know, but still coming back like that in the semifinal, beating Heroic in the final,
2-0.
Right?
Don't forget.
Like, and lifting the trophy, I'm sure that gave you guys like a nice boost of confidence going into the it's like it felt like everything was lining up for you guys
at the right time
to peak at the major.
And the major was in Paris.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's that Rio tournament helped us for sure. And I remember going there. The next day we finished the game against Monte. It was Monte the last one. We beat G2 and then we beat Monte.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And that was like we were dead and we lost the opening game against OG on Overpass. And but then we had a meeting and say,
that's right. You had a massive lead in that game too.
Yeah. We were like T side and we won like 10-5 or something like that.
Yeah.
We were like, match. I was actually top fragging, which is not normal, and I
that's why we lost
at the end of the game. Exactly, that's exactly about.
Should have been the first time.
Exactly, and it went wrong. But then we said we're here for something. I mean, we traveled like 12 hours for this tournament. Let's get something from it.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the most important. And then we get one game per game. We won the MRBR phase. OG, and then we won big in quarter. This game against Cloud9, we got wrecked. We had like a really off day, and in that day, Inferno was a mess. And then we come back from 0-10 on Vertigo after losing the first map with Dupree going insane.
Yeah, he was.
He did go mental.
T-Sai was insane.
It was insane, like doing double kill entries. I mean, no credit for me in this game for sure. And then obviously we had the Monster Edge for the third map, and we fucked them on the third one. And then this heroic game. It was, I mean, first of all, you have this like Danish rivalry. Of course, Magis, Dupree, Tonic, they want to beat, and they want to be.
I love it.
It's them being the best. It's not like someone else. And also me beating them. I mean, we had a couple of losses against them, and that was really important for me to beat them. And yet, this win just, of course, it was an important tournament for us, and we took it like just as a. Like big training and doing everything we could because of like, of course, like those partnership and everything. We just had to go there, and there is nothing else. But yeah, winning it obviously helped us to believe in what we were building in our mental as well, because our mental was strong in all the games and the way, just knowing more ourselves, even more than before. And I think it's about that, like knowing what the team needs, what the team DNA can do,
and what it's capable of
as a team together to perform. And I think this year is funny because we lost to the worst comeback, and we did the two other best.
That's right. The fucking Anubis comeback.
2-13.
Oh yeah, the phase one.
Phase
That
one.
was with Jax.
So
Yeah.
today when you were down on Anubis and the other guys were casting, I casted it last time when you came back against FaZe with Harry and Hugo and they were there. I was like, is this going to happen again? Are they going to do another one of these fucking like,
Yeah.
too bad it wasn't 14-1 this time. It
Yeah.
was 11-4. But actually when you talk about all the things you've brought up, it just shows the different like stops or even the times you've fallen down and then gotten back up. Like the Jax situation not only probably showed Dupree, who was watching from home, oh shit, if I do this, their flashes are going to be great. It probably showed you as well.
It went left and right because I told him, you see what I really expect from you as an entry frag. I really want you to get more space for the others. You have like the closures. We have 3 closures that can be insane. So you need the space. You need this space with me too. Because sometimes there is one video at the RMR. We do a B pop on Vertigo, and Dupree is not like following me, and I'm watching him like that. And there is a photo of that, like me being mad at him because, yeah, I really wanted him to just get the space, and then he understood that way more. He wasn't perfect because it's not his like just the way he is, and also he told me that but I need more in map control, and I told him okay, 50-50. You give me, I give you, and it's how it works for me as in game leader. I give you more confidence and more trust about what I want, and you do the other way. And I think that's worked a lot for him, and he did really good Rio, he did a really good major as well.
What are you missing now that he's gone? Like, do you
Experience has to be, right?
Yeah, experience. But like, what do you feel as an in-game leader now that he's not in the team? Like, do you ever like sit there and you're like, man, Dupree did this really well? That
I think it's in big games probably, like the one we played against Ents, maybe in Cologne. We didn't play any other big games. Gamers 8 a bit, but that wasn't like as big as Cologne.
Not pressure,
yeah, exactly. But I think like in Cologne, we lacked a bit of this from Flamesy, obviously, because he's really young. But also, the of course the time of practice. But yeah, this experience in big games, that's right. The fun part with Dupree is that of course he used to be a fantastic rifler, and he did so many years at the top, and is without a doubt a top 5 rifler in CS:GO history. And
I think so.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think so?
Well, he was part of the greatest team of all
He
time.
was he was with matches the second best player, and he's like.
I'm not doubting his abilities in any way. I'm just saying if you went down a list and you had to distill it down to 5, I feel like there's a lot of
count in longevity.
For me, longevity. Well, okay.
Longevity trumps it all.
I will say what I think. Okay?
Sure.
I think that Coldzera had really crazy years. We had 2 years on 11.
Sure.
For me, his peak was higher than most of the rifle, but he had 2 years.
Yeah.
Icons, Dupree career better than Coldzera.
He's got more trophies as well. He's got 5 men.
Well, I don't think Dupree's head-to-head is with Cole. I think it's with Nico as the best.
Yeah.
Nico is the best without the doubts, and he's above. But then who you dealing with?
Do you put Simple over ZYwoo?
What?
Do you put Simple over ZYwoo?
In the CS:GO history?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
CS:GO
but
history, of course I do.
right now,
Because of the years, but on the last 5 years, no.
I was just hoping to catch him in a little trap there.
You little asshole. We don't do that here. This is a professional podcast.
If you think Nico's number 1, you have Dupree as number 2.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not thinking enough about that. But
That's the thing, though, because like a lot of people, Elige was tweeting the other day about Crims, saying, I think Elige
That's why I said it.
Consistency, he can be also top 5 as well.
Yeah.
For me, just the last few years have been, from 19, it's been rougher for him.
Online, for Crims
online,
specifically,
for
yeah.
But probably also because they're fucking, what teams did they give him?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's something that you also sometimes can't control. A good player can be trapped in a...
But people, when they think about like, when, I don't know, Pim, this is top 5, when I'm reading, he's just doing like picks, kind of. He's just doing picks. Like Nico, of course, was a pick, and second is Coldzera at pick, but we're talking 11 years of a game.
Yeah.
For me, longevity.
I'll tell you,
longevity trumps all.
So far is that the longevity. Who did the all 11 years of Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
We maybe 4. Kerrigan, Dupree, Crims, and me. Who's the rest?
I mean, I
who's
tell you,
left?
when we talked about like best player of the decade, right? That was the conversation that ESL was like giving an award to, and like
Katowice, right?
yes, and Simple won it, obviously, but like there was a case to be made for Dupree at the time. Because also, I mean, if you want to look at longevity, sure, his peaks aren't the high as the other players, but from the moment he played competitive CSGO, he was an impactful, relevant player. He was never a bot. He was never a support player, like fully. Yes, within his role,
It may be diminished over the years, but he never disappeared.
Here and there, but also he was a part of a team that won 4 majors.
Yeah.
You know, this was
And he's
before.
the only player
this
to have
year.
won 5 majors.
Now, yes, especially, which, you know.
It's mental to think
I mean,
about.
for me, what I remember from the players is achievements. It's
Yes.
of course,
Yeah.
picks is something,
But that's why in the GOAT conversation, like the name device, right? Like
I'm amazed at how often it gets dropped
But
out of that conversation.
which is insane.
It's
right?
insane.
he has to be. He's third.
He's mine. No,
Third is behind those two because there is a category. I'm sorry, but
The phenoms.
you cannot touch.
wait.
ZYwoo simple.
Wait.
He's
that-
right.
You cannot touch ZYwoo simple.
No,
He's
come
right.
on,
Of course,
no.
Nobody is like them in the game. Device is a fucking awesome player.
ZYwoo.
Yeah, okay,
ZYwoo has
but-
one device in each end.
No, but
Oh Jesus! Holy. Okay, hold up a second.
this
I don't know
this
what
this
goes
is
like
this
that.
is
No,
where
it's
I
okay.
hate
This
this
is the thing.
conversation.
If you put ZYwoo in FaZe tomorrow, he's the same player. That's the point. If you put Simple in FaZe tomorrow, he's as good as he is in Navi, or right? They're not
Okay.
system players.
But is Device showing he's assistant player in
Oh,
Australia?
come
He's really
on.
good. He's really good.
Come
and
on.
he's insane. And the problem is, it's like in football. I mean, I love football, and you both don't know about it. But Messi, you cannot touch Messi and Ronaldo. You cannot
Yes.
touch them. They are both. What they do, Device will never do that. I'm sorry, but
Messi's
his
from
character
No,
is
no, no.
insane.
But
And
that's-
all the
So I'll
years-
tell you this straight up. Device is my greatest player of CS:GO.
But because you don't know CS, probably.
I think,
That's so
listen, it's a
cool.
fun
Why has it got to be like that? Why has it got to be like
you can
that?
do this conversation across a lot of disciplines, because it comes down to who has the most achievements or who's the best player, right? Like Simple is the better player, but he doesn't have the same achievements. But
Yeah.
wins are not a team stat.
I've been
Wins are
sa-
not
I've
a
been making
player
this
stat.
argument for a
Wins
while.
are a team
Okay,
stat.
You wanna talk
it
about-
can go both ways. It can go both ways. The thing is, if you think that way, but Simple didn't have, like, he played with Zeus and Edward. He didn't have Magisk and Glaive at that time. And it's not his fault that also that he didn't win that
Sure.
much, you know? So it can go both ways. That, of course, Device contributes in another way than Simple.
True.
But the team behind, like, you know, like ZYwoo, mate, he played for 4 years with 3 years with French team.
Yeah.
That he had like no one above 1 rating almost in his team, you know? And it's really rough
I would say-
to compare the things.
Well, I'll say 2 things. One, when I have this conversation, I always feel like the dickhead because for me, it seems like a very technical conversation.
You're
where-
arguing for Tom Brady being the greatest QB of all time.
So I think.
and not Aaron
Jason,
Rodgers.
that's American football.
I know,
We'll keep
yeah,
this.
thank you.
Just in case.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate it. No, but Device to me is the greatest Counter-Strike player of all time. If you want to talk about the best Counter-Strike players, it's obviously Simple, and then it's ZYwoo after
yes,
that.
I
And there's like a
remember this.
very verbal distinction there for me, like that
No, I
that is
get it.
important. But also, I think the biggest thing that ZYwoo has against him is, as you said, longevity. That's the only thing holding him
but
back in
when
any
you think
conversation.
5 years, when you think 5 years, like 5 years of professional, is gonna be 3 times the best player in the world and 2 times second. Like,
One of them was an online season.
Wait,
yes, of course,
he's gonna
but
be.
Yeah.
he's
and that
gonna
one
be-
should have gone to
You hear
Simple.
that? He's gonna be 3.
think so?
Because
did
Simple
hear that.
didn't
I
get
did hear
it
that.
because he was
He
in
already
the
knows.
CIS, it was the CIS lock. So it was like the ZYwoo had tougher opponents, but that wasn't like too.
I think it was better in bigger matches as well back then, or something like that. I think that was close to that. But
That was the closest
it's-
one to call. out of
It's
all
a
the
very
years.
fun conversation. It's very. I think the big takeaway is like whenever we see this argument take place on social media and in content, it's always Simple versus ZYwoo, and it's like, where's homeboy Device? Like, come the fuck on!
He took a break.
Like
No,
he
but-
should be in the
yeah,
conversation.
he should be. No, but
He
as I
should
said,
be
I
in the
think-
conversation.
No, yeah, listen, he should be in the conversation.
took a break.
No, I think for me, he's just.
When did Simple
right,
take a break? Especially considering.
I don't know. Yeah.
He's just right behind those
Yeah.
2 guys.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
I agree, and I agree with apEX. These 2 guys are phenoms.
Yeah, they're the
They
animals.
are the guys who break the game, right?
break the rules.
Device is the best at playing the game, but he doesn't break it. He doesn't break the rules of the game. And ZYwoo and Simple, they break the rules of
Are
the
you
game.
an NBA?
They do think that no one else.
Yeah, for sure.
With
Are you an
both
NBA
Raptor
guy?
and AVP.
You're an NBA.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I mean, Device is Tim Duncan. Like
Oh,
he's.
fuck
Yes,
all of you.
okay.
If we talk about normie sports one more time, I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm talking about- come on, guys.
If you're leaving, can you go to the bar?
At least
No.
let me partake in the conversation.
but
Device is Tim Duncan.
But
He's
it's
just-
it's
he's
okay.
nuts.
Talking about like all these
But-
goats and it. Sorry, finish. Yeah.
No, this is a different point, but
you
it's
defending yourself still.
no, but it's just like I'll say one more thing for in Device's favor is like I'm not.
But device.
I'm not as much of a device fan as I'm coming out to be right now, which is fucking wild. But in the early days of CS:GO, he was one of the best riflers. And then he became one of the best.
That was like for.
Put ZYwoo with a rifle, mate, and you will see what's going to happen, mate. Okay, you want to play this?
He didn't get you there.
Sorry,
Or
mate.
Simply.
This is
But then
I think ZYwoo is a better rifle than Simple.
I would agree
I think
with you.
that's yeah. That's
I would agree
true.
with you.
That's true. Yeah.
I would agree with you.
Mate, even if it was online era, ZYwoo was a bit uncool.
Actually, funnily enough,
It was
I
a
think
big-
actually that's one of like, I mean, I agree with you, and he's amazing with rifles, and that's probably one of the things that I get most annoyed about his game is I'm like, bro, the AWP as a presence on a map is so crazy, and when you use rifle, I'm just sat there sometimes casting, I'm like, please have the AWP, like just make them fear the AWP.
Yeah, but that's also a problem I have because you talk playstyle, but when you do map control and you don't have an AWP, you're not scary.
Yeah.
So I also need to use that.
Yeah.
Because if you know that the opponent doesn't play AWP, you can overpick.
Like Liquid back in the day.
Exactly. And,
When-
and that's rough for me. So it's also adapting your playstyle. That what ZYwoo wants to use. If he wants to use an AK, that's why sometimes I tell him, boy, I would love you to play a bit AVP today because I want to work on map control. You know, but it's true. And he has. I don't ask him to play any weapon in official map.
Yeah,
I just tell him do whatever you want. And
we
I
need to
adapt myself.
practice with you with an AWP or something. Yeah.
I feel like, and I have no problem saying this to your face, and this happened last season as well. I said this, and then luckily we had you and Zonic come on the couch, so we talked about this, and I said, ZYwoo is kind of the most boring best player in the world that we've had because he is who he is. He
Aside
has
from
no
device.
ego, right? He has no. But
I
I
have
said
some,
like,
mate.
but I said like, you know, like you want your like player that's like that good. You want him to be like a little bit cocky, have a little bit of an ego, right, and be a little bit.
He's more with the team.
No,
but
but
not
you
outside.
guys were talking about when I think we asked you that, and you said yes. Actually, this is like a conversation that we're having, and we're asking him to like sometimes be a little bit more vocal, and because it's everyone all play Counter-Strike. When the best player on your team starts talking, everyone
Listen.
shuts the fuck up and
Yeah.
listens.
Most likely, if he's not talking too often, it's
Yes,
even better.
yes,
It's
yes,
even better.
exactly.
But he stepped out a lot this year and told.
Yeah, that's
he
what I was
stepped
going to
out a
ask
lot.
you. Yeah.
And he's not doing that like on social media or in a broadcast or whatever. He does that in the team. Like,
Which is the important
yeah, exactly.
place.
He just needs. We told him, you don't know how much impact you could get on the other players just saying, guys, shut the fuck up or whatever, guys. I'm 25 frags, you 5 behind. Like, maybe step up. I mean, it's too
Yeah,
big
right,
what
right.
I'm saying, obviously,
No.
but just
No, but
being
I
more vocal.
remember
Like,
it's-
sometimes just boys. Oh, what are we doing right now? And
Having
just
your
being
best player
you-
be a driving
hold
force
people
within the team.
accountable.
You
Yeah.
gave an example on Overpass where like he had a lot of kills in like the first half, maybe your City side and your T side, and like 7 rounds in, he
3v5.
didn't see a guy before his team was 3v5. It's like, yo,
It's exactly what I told him. We had the talk after the game. He told me, bro, I couldn't do anything. He told me. I'm like, yeah, but just tell them to fucking stop playing like that as well. Like, I remember I called default. We went 13-2 on the City side. And then on T side, you can watch again, maybe 4 by rounds. We 3v5 in like 20 seconds. So what can you do?
Yeah, nothing.
yeah,
What can you do?
especially on Overpass.
Exactly. And the key is also, I told him, if you come up and say, guys, come on, can I play some CS maybe? You allow me to play CS or, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, something like that.
Yeah,
People
in a
will take
cocky
a step
way.
back. Exactly. Like,
To-
maybe just to put pressure on the teammate. Like,
Bro,
okay, he's talking.
I would take a timeout and say in a game when can we just try to not die for the first 15 seconds
But
of
we
the
try
round.
to do it.
You know, when we had also, it was a game we're like 13-2 and we're like, okay, let's just
Chill for a sec.
not die for the first 15 seconds and let's see what happens. Let's see if they can do something without us just.
Maybe they will give
Yeah.
us the round by themselves.
Yes, exactly.
The
You
best I
know,
ever heard so succinctly in a face-up hug was just some Ukrainian kid who just came in and said, guys, can we stop dying on first timing? And that's it. That's all he said. And it's like, yeah, okay, let's stop dying on the first
that's
timing,
sensible.
shall we? That was it. I was like, okay, great, we can live with that. Let's stop just pushing and dying.
that's fair.
Like,
That's entirely
actually
reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, we
wanna-
can do that. That's reasonable. Yeah. no,
Going
it's
back
okay.
to like what we initially talked about and the personalities in French CS and all of that, like as a guy who was seeing it at the time and being part of the scene, why did it take it? I guess it's the relationships between players. That's why it took so long to create like the French team with everyone
So
on
which
it.
one you think?
Well, shit. Now I'm thinking which one
Yeah, yeah.
exactly, but it's
your
probably
question.
Shox and Kenny. I guess it's the G2 team that you were a part of.
Yeah. Okay. So it took time because also we had a winning team. in Envious.
Yeah.
So when we changed for like Shocks and Smith for Kenny and me, we had a winning team in Envious, and that's where I won my first major. 2016 when we started to go down, but they started to play well. They won ECS against Luminosity LG back then.
Yeah.
They lost EPL
SK in the
final
final.
In
the
London,
crazy-
I
The
remember.
crazy game.
That was a
3-2.
sick game.
Exactly.
The BO5.
Exactly, and they didn't want to change back then as well. Us, we wanted to change because it became rough, and that's why it became.
The turntables have turned.
Exactly, but we created this team, but that was a mess. This team was one of the biggest mess I played with because we had like one of the most insane team with the roles. I think we had the top 3 roles at each role in the team. Lurking way. Just in game leader, we didn't have. I mean, Shocks wasn't like the best in game leader, but he was one of the 3 best lurker back then. We had me as interior fragger, NBK as a support, Kenny as an oper, and Body as a newcomer. That was pretty good as well. But the relation between this team was I'm just laughing because Shocks was in game leader, but it didn't work out that well. And the problem that I love Smith, he's a good friend of mine, but both of them together wasn't a good idea either. Then we had NBK and Shocks never talking to each other. Never. It wasn't possible. Sure. We created this team. I don't know why, but they never talked to each other.
You knew that creating the team?
A little bit, yeah. I was maybe hiding myself at some point, but I knew it. And like me with my character as well, but trying to give out my best for the team. And Kenny that had a rough year, not individually, but in his life, like thinking about stopping CS. And this team was a fucking mess. And we won 3 even, so I'm really proud of that. But back then,
Imagine what you would have done if there wasn't such a mess.
What?
Imagine what you would have done if it wasn't such a mess.
I think that would have been even worse. It would have been even worse.
Well, what? How?
I don't know. Just then, but then the fun part is that they changed to get Existent and Smith instead of NBK and me, and that was even more a mess. Anyway, French team. What I liked when Xstars came into Vitality is that it changed all the things. He wasn't scared to, because when we created this G2 team, it was like more the players that have like the power of the team, and that was pretty bad to have that, to be honest. And because how can you give how it's called,
children
responsibilities, charges to people that are at the same level normally? Because players, we should be at the same level.
Yeah, equal. That
should
are
be
equals,
equal in the decision, in everything. So how to give responsibilities and charges to players that are equal? It's you
weird. Create the imbalance.
Exactly. So I think some players felt untouchable, and that created a mess into the team. So that's why I love when Xstars came into the team. Okay, to be honest, I don't think I ever said that, but when Vitality got created, it's me that went to the honor in Paris. I was bench in G2 back then, and I went to the honor. I said I want to create a French team. I have like the new best player in the world probably with ZYwoo. We have RPK, that is really solid rifler. NBK wants to be in game leader. And then we look +1. But NBK wanted to play with apEX as a normal player. And me, I was like,
happy?
apEX.
Yeah, he was on Vitality.
He was on Vitality the first
I remember that.
3 months. And I was like, why? Why you want apEX?
He likes being baited.
Probably. And then I asked him that, and what happened is that I say, no, I don't want to play with apEX. And what happened is that he said, okay. And he preferred apEX over me. So he asked other players than me to play with Vitality back then. I wasn't Vitality because I had Vitality myself, but them, they didn't have it. They were just a roster. So he wanted to call Jax, and Jax said no. He was in 3D Max back then. He didn't want to leave
Friends,
this
that's
team.
Right.
He didn't want to leave this team for Vitality. Then I came out in Vitality with another coach, and that was a big mess. The coach got kicked. We bring up Xstars back then. He started to kick first apEX in 1 month. He was in the team.
Yeah.
I was like, finally. Nothing against, but that was over for him. That was over as a player. And then he played in no team after that. So
he went to Valorant.
Yeah, now he's a coach in Valorant. Yeah, exactly. But nothing bad towards him, but that just wasn't possible back then to be competitive. Then he started to kick NBK. And then he did like the other things, but he did what no one did in the French scene that helped us to be Vitality. But yeah, I mean, we had so much trouble with like back then also in Vitality. The first, I mean, with Alex when he arrived, he didn't like have a good relationship with NBK. Then Alex didn't have a good relationship with Sharks, and it's always the same.
Always some drama.
Always some troubles. I wasn't living a normal fucking tournament without having troubles. And me, I tried to be left and right and doing my role, and that was such a mess.
What was the big hang up between, because like that saga went on, I feel like for years within French teams of like Shocks in-game leading, NBK in-game leading. Like what was it? Was it like a difference in play philosophy? Was it an ego clash, a personality clash?
Situation?
What that's really old but gold.
Holy shit. There's a TB by Chatty B. Oh god, all right.
Oh man, this one I didn't remember. Now, what exactly happened is that we had two really good in-game leader in the French scene in CSGO, was Happy and Existence.
Two very different styles.
Two different styles, exactly.
Different ends of the
one for
spectrum.
one lurking on the right, and the other one more strategic. But at some point, both dropped down. So I think Shocks and NBK felt there were a gap to take, and as they had a lot of responsibility in the team, they felt they could be in-game leader. So
And they had both egos.
and yeah, that's exactly, I mean, over what happened. And what I didn't understand at some point is that when it's not working for yourself, that's what I said. It's the example I took when, for me, if it didn't work for 6 months, 1 year as in-game leader, I would have stopped. I would say, okay, it's not for me. Fine. It's not a bad thing to say something is not for you. It's not good for you. I would say, okay, I take a step back. Well played, everyone. But it's not for me. I change. But then they kept going from 2015. Both of them do that from 2015 and trying to lead the team and lead again. But yeah, that's that. What didn't help? We didn't have an in-game leader, and what didn't help is that those guys took over and they were not good enough to do it.
Tell me, did you play with Existence in Go?
No. Yes, I did in Titan.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the whole cookie. But why didn't you think? Why do you think he didn't really get to outside, or maybe the early Very Games days, but post that couldn't really reach the heights of Source days? Because there was a lot of us were fans of watching, his teams play, because you can see it makes sense, but it just couldn't like really work.
No, exactly. I think that Existence was a really crazy good in-game leader in Source, and I think that's what didn't help him was the beginning with NIP, that they were doing such an easy playstyle and beat him. He didn't understand that. He was like, "All the fuck," and he didn't understand what the philosophy behind that. But
well, and they also lost like
10, 15 times.
But like games that they were up like 12-3.
The old nuke games. The old nuke games where they'd be up like
that was in the documentary too.
Yeah, 14-1 and then lose in overtime or something like that.
Yeah, 13-2 to 14-1.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it was crazy. And but what happened? He was still in the old style. That's kind of like the old guys. And they were. I remember that retaking info on Source and everything wasn't a thing.
No,
we didn't retake info. And when we saw those guys retaking, like two pushing, like for example, like two pushing B and one hiding on Cross back then, it was something new for us. We were like, okay, it's weird, but we didn't take that in consideration too fast, because we didn't watch demos as like we do now. We didn't have the analyst, and so everything got slower at some point. And I think that's what didn't happen. But I remember something that was really tough for me to deal with when we had this lineup with Kukli, Kenya's Maniac, Existence, and me. What happened is that we were the best cash team at that time. We were so good at cash, but I was like, we were doing tricks with Kenny. I had a lot of tricks with Kenny, me and fragging him covering me, or I flashed for him, he picks, and he was really good at that. So those kind of stuff, we were doing that a lot. And we were the best cash team. I remember that in ESCA, we did a ESCA tournament in Dallas back then. And
the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days in the
Doubletree.
Hilton Doubletree, exactly. And I remember that was the first time it was freezing because of the AC in the US. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like,
welcome to Texas.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what the hell is going on? And we played like Kukli got backban, so we couldn't play with him back then, and he got kicks. And we played with Yorek, like the coach back then, and we beat Fnatic. on cash that were the best team back then. Like,
They were the best team on cash as well.
and yeah, they were really good, and we beat them with the play style we had, because Kenny and me were really good at doing things, and back then it wasn't too much strategic, and that's what was really tough for him to understand. He didn't understand why we were good.
Yeah.
So when we came back after, because it was in December this tournament, when he came back in January 2014, 15, we changed everything. And we became bad on the map. And that thing, I don't know. For me, if we're good on the map, and even most likely online, okay, if we are only good online, and there we were beating everyone. We were beating everyone. And then we changed the place.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Just not take a step ahead, because the game style with Shen was more for like really strategical, like really like set strats and like more team play and everything. I mean, we had team play, we were flashing a lot for each other, but it wasn't included in this. It was me and Kenny trading run boost back then, or boost and one ways and doing flash for each other. And yeah, he went from a point to another. It changed the whole play style. What I will do is I will be scared that this, if it doesn't work, what we do? So I had this playstyle as well. We have both, and we mix it up.
Yeah.
But it changed from one thing to the other, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
And I remember then losing to. We lost in Katowice 15. We lost to Envious on Cobble on the first game. It was 2 best of 1 back then, majors. Lovely. You lost 2 best of 1 and you were out.
You're gone.
Yeah, tell me
Exactly.
about it. And you come in as the lowest seed from Australia. Get fucked.
Yeah. But that's, I think that's because.
Well, you beat
Definitely,
Titan.
definitely not better.
I think that's
And then you play an
yeah,
AP.
that's because of that, I think. But yeah, and just changing from one thing to another was really tough. And at Katowice, we play we lose to Envious 16-14 on Cobblestone, and then we play Panther, a team that we should have won every day, and we play Cash, and we lose 16-3 with this new play style.
I remember this. The Penta where like Dennis had an ace, or
Zen
Speedy.
Speedy and
Zen?
Dennis and
was Zen
Speedy.
in that team then? Or was it before that?
No,
I
it
don't
was
know.
Dennis, Speedy, Crystal.
Oh my
Structure,
God, it's
I don't
before
know.
that.
I mean, I don't remember the lineup actually, but we lost to them. And a team that we should not have lost with the lineup we had. And
Yeah.
that was such a mess. I remember that I was like, what the fuck?
Do you have any match in your history that like fucking
You'll never forget.
haunts you?
Haunts you.
Like a loss that where you're just like, that just when you try to go to sleep at night, it just randomly pops into your brain.
We talked a lot about this Cologne 15
Yes.
Crims 1v3 car. Of course,
Yeah.
it was a really running joke with Kenny.
Yeah,
We had a game as well.
which is ironic considering he was crying on the fucking stage. It's a running joke with Kenny.
Yes.
Poor Kenny.
yeah. And then Kenny did his worst cobblestone. He did 419 in a major final. But yeah, this one is really painful. And we also had a running joke with Kenny. We played I buy power.
He seems happy. He seems excited.
I buy power and Nitro was there.
Sure.
And,
okay.
it's exactly the Dallas tournament we played.
Yeah.
And we were 15-14 up, I think. And Kenny does an entry. I dink one, and it's 5v3.5. We call that a 5v3.5.
Sure.
And we lose it on B with Existent and Yurek doing shit on B, and we lose the round. And that was another one. But beside that, I think the Liquid game this year, I think I'm touching Monkey. That's what we say in French. But I didn't lose that mini comeback. But this Liquid one was really tough.
You say you're touching a monkey?
Yeah.
Okay, we say we're,
Wood.
touch wood.
We touch
Yeah.
wood as well.
Yeah.
On a monkey.
Okay.
And
Never heard that one before.
Yeah,
I love
and yeah, losing the Liquid one was really painful.
We have the cursed monkey
the cursed monkey.
or the monkey paw. Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no.
When you have such big leads and you lose it, there's nothing, because that's when you reflect on like the rounds. Be like, I wish I just had like not called that fast round, or like the little details stick out
Yeah.
so much more in losses like that.
But you grow up after that. What you grow up at is that you know that for the next time you're not gonna call that fast.
Sure.
And that's how I take it. For me, it's really important that for example, in the Liquid game, I should have said, guys, stop it, stop doing bullshit left and right. Let's play together. It's us having the momentum. We don't have to give them an easy momentum. Let's play together. Let's play simple CS. They will come in our crosshair. But let's take zones together, underground together, like balloons together or whatever. But then we were like, it's win. And what I missed is maybe saying something at that time. That's what I was telling myself. Like, I should have done that.
Losing those comebacks, those sometimes those games go by so quick. Like you're
Oh,
up,
yeah,
you're
you
up by
blink
you're
and
up by
you miss
you're up
it.
by like 10, and you're like in your head you're like, okay, we can give away 3 rounds and we still have a strong lead,
Yeah.
and those 3 rounds are gone, and you're like, all right, now we
And
can
then
kind of
eco
adapt.
again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, fuck that.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, where did it all
It goes
go?
really fast. I can
Yeah.
tell you. Yeah, it goes really, really fast. And that's what is like really scary, because when you look from the outside, it's not that fast. You see all the mistake. You're like, there
For sure.
just straight up.
But even your game today, like for example, on Anubis, like you lose pistol and then you lose 3 rounds in a row, then you get back into it with 3 rounds in a row, but 2 of those rounds are really close. ZYwoo has to clutch with the USP, for example, and then they win 3 back. But the thing in that moment is like your money's fucked. Like your money's completely fucked at that point in the game. And then like it's not, and this is the thing at the moment, like people need to understand in Counter-Strike, like a 7-1 or a 7-3 or something scoreline like that is really fucking common. Like that's a super common scoreline now. And teams can come back. But if you're on the CT side and your money keeps getting, you win a round, and then they reset. Well, there's no hard reset anymore.
I mean, it's the same concept of the hard reset. It's a little bit less harsh, but you still have less options available to you.
It can be hard resets. The one we had today, as you said, you lose the pistol, you lose the 3 first round, then you won 3, but you had really rough economy. Then you lose,
and you got nothing.
It's over. We had 1.4.
Yeah.
So you need to force buy a shit buy.
Yeah.
Then you have full eco, and then the next buy is like, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what happened to you today, because your first gun round coming around is like 4,400 for everybody. So it's silence M4s. Well, not your first gun round, your next gun round after that patch. No ZYwoo AWP. You're lighter on util. And then I'm sitting there like, I don't know who was casting it. It was either I think it was Maniac. But I'm sitting there watching and I'm going, so the options are right now, you either go aggressive or you sit passive and hope they don't just hit a site, because you don't want to burn your util, because you maybe have like 3 smokes, 1 molly and shit. Just limit. That's the thing. Like people hate when like I'm casting and all I do is talk about the economy. But the economy essentially,
it drives everything.
All of your openers are on your util. What can we zone out? Where can we take these fights? What weapons do we have? Do we have an AWP? Like none of these, like all of this changes what round you can call and what round your players can go for. Like imagine playing a map like Nuke and not having any mollies for Hut or Squeaky. Like, okay, well, fuck. We better hope they don't run out Squeaky Door this round, because otherwise it's fucking GG. Like, there's nothing we can... Same as Banana Control. Imagine not having any Molotovs to take Banana Control, just having to have rifles. Like, it's really hard for us to put that fear into the viewer. Like, if the viewer doesn't know how difficult it is to hold B on Inferno without mollies, HEs, flashes, and smokes, it's like, guys, they're going to get Banana for free, and then they're going to execute, and there's only 2 of us here.
You need to scare them at least.
Yeah, and how do you do that without an AWP?
Even though you don't take it, you need to scare them. You need to do something to scare them. If you didn't give everything for free, of course it's going to be rough to play 2 on B side and do nothing.
That's what we were watching the second game with Na'Vi Eternal Fire. Was like Na'Vi scared the shit out of them early on. Like every hit, like after like round 5 that Na'Vi did towards the B bomb site was like, here you go. Here's dark. Here's like the first 3 steps out of dark. Here's B main.
And they were still slowly taking it.
Yeah, and slowly or fast. Like they would just like they would do whatever they fucking wanted with it, because there was no one challenging them ever.
That's the thing. Eternal Fire probably learned a hard lesson today, right? With some of the, well, actually, to be fair, the only younger players were Cardia. The rest of them have no excuse for not being experienced. Yeah. Like the rest of them have all.
No, they got bodied overall, but like you could just
Na'Vi performing pretty well.
They just they don't have Navi's a bad matchup for them map pool wise as well.
Right. The Vertigo
player to player.
The Vertigo ban. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Anubis
and Nuke as well.
Navi is really good on it. So
Nuke not being a good map for them. So for Eternal Fire. So it's not
well, now that's a fucking Monty versus Na'Vi semi-final. Waro versus
the comeback from
the
era.
Yeah.
From the major.
From the major. The major. Yeah.
The Paris.
And then on the other side, what do we got? We're going to have G2 versus Mouse, and then we're going to have Ents versus
Movistar.
So
Sampayas versus his boys.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that how Jason calls them?
Yeah,
or?
Yeah. No, but that's actually really cool. So when was it? Have they played?
I think
they must have played this once.
I think they have somewhere sometime.
They're going to get real hype for that. Actually, that's going to be fucking insane.
Yeah,
that's going to be like the when Snappy's playing against you guys. Galati. Right, when he's yelling at Spinks, right? And I think it's so fun, like those like interpersonal type like things, and people listen to it at home and they're like, oh my God, that's so, how can you say that? But it's like, we were friends once upon a time and it's shit talking Counter-Strike. Like there's 2 different things here. Like it's not just, we're not just calling this guy
but
names.
Also like, bro, the old days of Counter-Strike. That's why like I really want Pro League. Pro League is like the best event to have like the face-to-face
we have to get it back next season. Device said to me during the regular season when I saw him, he's like, man, I've been talking to other players, like everyone's missing and not being across from each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we've tried to pass that message on a lot. That's half the fun. Like Counter-Strike was half the fun of Counter-Strike.
Exactly.
Just the LAN center setups.
When I saw Blame and Device in Cologne, I was like, I just want to play them.
Yeah.
I would say, look at me,
bitches. We need to
without steroids. Look.
We've got to make sure.
I'll say that to Kassa.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to bring up the Kassa. But next time we have to, like, because we pushed for it in these last 2 seasons, right? We've vocalized it. We said this should happen. Obviously, there's logistics.
We got it in Cologne. It was positive. I think Pro League was a little too late in the day to change, and other situations that are restrictive.
The thing is, they hear us say it and they're like, yeah, it's a good idea. And then it goes through like all the people and it's like, yeah, we
has to go up the chain through 4 departments.
Like, no, guys, listen.
Dude,
you will get free entertainment if you just have the players face each other. The game will be 10 times more exciting.
Exactly. But most likely for a tournament like that, that is not like the most important one. Do that.
Yeah.
Bro, I want 2 of these tables back to back.
No,
that's how close.
Jason really wants to take it to the
close
extreme where you could like see the flashes and hear the keyboard.
You could put a barrier in between these 2 tables and you'll still get the people standing up. If apEX is right here and fucking SDY is over here, he's talking shit.
This is what I want. I want like, so there's a decent distance between them, but we are smack bang in the middle. So when like apEX is winning around, he's standing up, he's going, fuck you guys, you fucking suck, come be again.
And the casters are right there.
And
then
we're in the middle going, apEX is going out of his mind, and he's right there. And
you're between. Yeah, it
like,
can be. It can be.
That'd
fun.
be fucking
sick. I think so. Yeah.
I'd
okay, that's
try
not bad.
it. I feel like that's what Pro League's for.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one where everyone agrees it's a safe space to experiment with shit, because you can't do it. No, I'm not even gonna say Cologne. I'll say Dallas or something.
Yeah.
These are like the
Small events.
still IEMs, but well, let's not like treat it as a joke or anything. Like that's what we're trying to do here. Make it a joke. It's not. It's like trying to test out like new things within the broadcast to see what you can do. But with now actually CS2 being fully out and you've played your last game in CSGO.
Oh shit!
Unfortunately. Give us some thoughts about MR12 at least for starters as the in-game leader. First of all, how much CS2 did you play?
I didn't play the version, but I play. I didn't play that much, to be honest. I played maybe 6-7 games.
You didn't even finish your placement game.
No, I didn't.
Fucking hell, okay.
I didn't. I played deathmatch a bit
yeah.
more every day. I played deathmatch just to feel the game and see how it was.
That must have been torture when the Valve DM.
Yeah,
with the fucking spawn protection.
Exactly.
Spawn protection is
and
painful.
Exactly, buying everyone as well, and those kind of stuff are pretty rough. But I just wanted to feel the game and how it was, and I think that was pretty okay. I mean, of course, like the spray looked a little bit weird on the beta.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bit weird. And also I theory crafted a bit more than that. Just no, I was like, okay, for me it's more better than not play and just look at nades. And if the nades are the same on Nuke, and what could I do on Vertigo, what I could do on Mirage and everything, like smoking window, or does it change? Now it's gonna be less good for the T's as well, because you cannot smoke window as fast as before. So you're gonna be a bit less. Actually, the cities will have a bit advantage now because the smoke doesn't pop as fast as before on the spawn base. When you throw them from spawn. So those small things are pretty nice, and that's what I've been doing. But for the M12, I don't know what to think. I think obviously if they keep the same economy, of course second run will be full eco, and it has to be because you don't have enough front to work with, except if on T you plant the bomb. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. I need to play more to see. But that's true that when you play matchmaking now, it just goes so fast.
Yeah, right.
You can play 5 and it took you 2 hours.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. I don't know if it's great. And for me, changes are not bad anymore. Back then I was thinking like that, like change is bad and I'm scared of changes when you could drop your utility. It was a big change for CS.
Yeah, you're 30 now. You're a boomer. You can't be afraid of change.
Exactly. But no, I'm fine. I mean, changes is part of the game, and I just think it's fun. So let's see. We just need more time and to see how it goes. But let's see if it really needs like a bit of change towards the economy. But that's true that actually the change where they've done like 2 years ago with the money system.
Yeah, with that was like 2019, right?
That was
18.
That's much better because
no hard
we
resets.
have way less double eco and like shit rounds. And what's good with CS, contrary to the other games, is that CS is really good at being entertaining for the whole map. the warm up is good.
Yeah.
You can have a crazy dig around.
Yeah.
When you look at League of Legends, it's boring for 30 minutes, mate. And then you have 5 minutes of action. That's what is nice. So I don't know. Obviously, for people, like best of 5 is such a hard thing to watch. And I'm not watching best of 5 anymore. Playing them, I'm like half already. I want my coach to play half of the maps. But other than that, I think that, I think that we need to have more time to see how it will be.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair surmise. Like at the moment, you see a lot of a reaction from a large percentage of the community is, oh, this fucking sucks. The changes are shit. But like, and this is the thing. Like, I've been having this conversation with Hugo on the frequent, and he's definitely of the CS:GO purist mindset of like, you know, the game's not ready, all these things. And on some things, I agree with him. Like, this isn't right or that isn't right. It needs to be fixed. But the biggest issue I have is the game will not get to the level it needs to be for the next major if the best Counter-Strike players in the world are not playing it. Because the people who are going to stress test it better than anybody else are the best Counter-Strike players in the world. And does that mean we're going to have to sit here and take a couple of L's? Will there be some bugs? Will there be some bullshit? Yeah. Well, we've already had that over the 11 years of CSGO that we've had. Is the teething issues in the beginning that ended up making CSGO so great by the end. And CSGO even had a couple of bugs of its own, right?
Yeah.
That were not great. So I think like I get the reluctancy from the community and the people who are being like really negging on CS2 at the moment. I understand that, and I've seen it before, and I'll see it again in another 10 years.
You know what's the funniest thing about all of this? It's a paradox, really. So the same people that think CSGO is so amazing, right, are disappointed by CS2 changing so little.
Yes.
Right? And the update not bringing
Enough.
I don't know which changes and what else. Isn't the point in, if you already have a really good product, to not change it too much?
Just update it without changing it too much, yeah.
Exactly, to just like make it a little bit visually better, which I think CS2 most definitely is. And then there's a couple of changes like the smokes and stuff, which does influence gameplay, but not in a way that it completely changes the game, just in a way that it adds like a nice little layer to it.
But everything they've done seems to be adding layers. Like dropping of nades adds a layer. In the beginning, people are like, oh my God, how's this going to change the game?
We thought that was going to break the game.
And now it changed the game in a good way. And now it's like, okay, so now we had scissor, paper, rock. Well, now we add another dimension to that, right? Like, well, we only had scissor, paper. Now we have scissor, paper, rock, right? We had smoke, molly combo. Now we have smoke, molly, HE combo. The flash is kind of in its own world, but like these things add more decisions to the game, and those decisions that are possible helps like people like you from a macro position as an in-game leader work out how we're going to approach these scenarios. And then the geeks, the individuals, the flamesies, the spinxes of the world, the ZYwoos of the world, when they're playing their pugs, they learn like, okay, this smoke works nicely here, and I can do this, and they learn the micro that is in the plays that we go, oh my God, that was amazing, right? And the combination of all of that is people's Counter-Strike brains on steroids, understanding all of these different features and functionalities and timings and everything going into one.
And making the decisions.
What's fucking beautiful about Counter-Strike is it's an equal opportunity game, right? Everybody has the same opportunity in Counter-Strike because you all have the same, right? Everyone has the same tools, right? And with those same tools, there's a reason that ZYwoo
the oppers are.
Hey Dan, you want that map control? And ZYwoo's not buying the AWP? I'll tell you who fucking can, mate. You get that AWP.
I should TV forum, mate.
Hey, your scout is it.
Not giving the AWP to ZYwoo.
Yeah.
You see that on National TV forum tomorrow? Oh, yeah. I see this, mate.
Hey,
what the hell is apEX doing?
Why is your scout so good?
What's the scout is so good?
Yeah, you just don't stop moving, huh?
Just the moving part. The moving part is insane. I play it way less, but yeah, the fun part is that ZYwoo didn't play it. So I was like, okay, you don't want to play it? He said no. I said, okay, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play love this match and everything. And in online era, I was insane with. The only one that was better than me is Searson.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
Yep, he was pretty nuts.
A step above me, but I was actually
Jaeger's still salty about that shit.
On his chair and drinking Coke Zero.
He didn't even go to the boot camp, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was
just
crazy.
like, I was just going to chill at home.
He was drinking Coca Zero. I remember.
How much trouble did you get in when you were boot camping during the online era and you gave the camera the finger? I remember. How much did you get? Because Neo was behind you.
Yes.
Caught red-handed.
Okay, that was the 5th map of a best of 5. I was like, it was the first final we were getting in. I win the 1v1 against Simple. And I don't know, that just like such
It just happened.
It just happened. Like,
yeah.
I didn't control it.
Yeah, you blacked out.
I'm not sure it was me, actually. I just reacted so fast about like, actually, the fun part is this, is that I win a 1v1 without shooting. just playing shoulder picking and just playing because I was low HP. So I'm like, fuck it, let's gamble. And I don't know my reaction, and I had no trouble towards Vitality. They were happy with our first event, but all the back then Ukrainian Russian community I received on my
Oh yeah.
A lot
social
of
way,
hate.
crazy man. I received the
CS:GO
much
lounge
hate I
level.
ever had in my life,
Yeah.
just for middle finger. Like
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
No, mate. Some of the shit I say is definitely not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you still get pretty. I mean, not I don't want to say you get emotional. I mean,
Well, he does get emotional.
You
He's
probably
invested.
do, but at least it looks like it on the camera, right? Is this something that still like some of the staff in Vitality is trying to like get you to work on, or has everyone just sort of accepted it? Like this is who Dan is, and it comes with the good and the bad sometimes.
Actually, what is important, I think, in that regard is that for me, I find for people, it's of course to understand, and it's the other way for me. I need also, I mean, it's my way to be frustrated, but for maybe Spinks is to be quiet. So what's
Sure.
the best way? Actually, there is no best way, but that's the way we react to emotions.
Well, that's the beauty
So-
of a team, right?
So of course, I always need to work with that. Most likely when it's too much, but that's what Spinks told to Flames. He said at the beginning I was a bit shocked because Dan is really like, and I'm really straightforward guy. I'm not going left and right. I'm straightforward. So it was pretty tough for him that didn't know that before and I felt offended. But now he accepted. It's just about accepting the way I am, but not the goal is not me being too much. That's all
Yeah.
about that. Like not being too much for my teammates and for everyone, because otherwise they get it's going to be just too much. And I think that's something I've been really good this year with the other years working towards this, and also telling my team what they expect and what I can do as well. I said,
Sure.
I'm not. Magis he's not like reacting like that, but he's more talker. You know, he's more talker and
Yeah.
saying like shit sometimes. But you just need to accept it. Just
Yeah.
accept. Me too. I was frustrated sometimes with him at the beginning, but no, I just accept the way he is, and if it's not too much, it's fine. It's just human reaction. We all different, and I remember when I was like that back then, people told me to change. It's not gonna happen. We humans. It's the way we are. We cannot change from 0 to 100. We can get better. That's for sure. And that's what I've been working on. Just trying to get to be a better human being for my teammates, but them understanding that it's my emotions and it's also my passion for the game. I just love the game so much, and it goes hand in hand with the good and the bad, because that's exactly what Lars told me. He told me, "You unique guy because you can, by being yourself, you can make the team win or lose. So the goal is just to put lose away
yeah.
at the maximum and the win. Because if I'm in the right mood, I get everyone with me.
Yeah.
More than probably everyone in everywhere.
Well, yeah, nobody gets mad when you're doing the fucking finger guns.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just, and you know, the fun part is that I don't, just myself.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
predict anything in my brain. It's just I'm myself. When
Come
I do
on,
that.
you can't tell me you're not posing for those photos.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's not planned.
This one is crazy.
No, low key, your best
I did
one.
it again just for fun at it was Malmo 2017. It was like 3 months after the real one. I was like, I had to do it.
Low key, your best one's from Malta last year, season 16.
Oh, with the
where
confetti.
when the sparklers are going off, and you're just like,
It was burning. I said,
It must be Oli.
I feel one. Yeah, exactly. All it's nothing. And I feel 1, 2. The fuck is that, mate? Maybe too close. But look, I mean, it's crazy to look just at my memes. I have so many memes, and it's just crazy.
bro, you're on Photoshop battles,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is the original one, the one like this, is on Photoshop.
You've transcended.
I actually tried to post the one of you getting burnt that we were just talking about when you're.
Yeah, this.
I put that one on Photoshop battles myself. I was like, let's get this bad boy
Didn't
trending.
kick off.
It didn't kick off, but it got some traction. There's some
Okay.
decent ones
Jason
in there.
just trying to make you an internet
know
meme.
Jason-
Yeah, I am actually.
Just
know you're
so
a big deal on the
someone
Reddit.
could overtake Creamy Moses.
I just
but-
think Photoshop battles is a great subreddit. To
I've
be
never
honest.
seen it.
I think the first one like that was pretty fun because that was the first meme I had probably, and
Yeah.
and people were trying to. I mean, it was a subject for during a full evening on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
everyone tried to make the best joke out of it.
Yeah.
And that was just fun to see, like just a normal. I don't know what I've done there. I don't remember. There was a PGL like a major qualifier in.
I actually don't even remember what the moment was. I don't remember.
I don't remember. It was during game. Just that is just this photo is just unique.
Iconic.
Iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic for.
Yeah.
But I have so many. I mean, it just whenever I'm just myself. Sometimes just I love reacting with my face,
Yes.
like doing and like some the fun part is that the Chinese guy, they called me Mr. Bin.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah. the
TV show.
the TV show, the UK guy.
Mr. Bean. Bean.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you said
Yeah,
Bean.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
I thought you did too.
calling you
Yeah,
Brad.
Bean.
Sorry
Yeah.
for-
Sorry, big English guys,
Exactly.
for us poor.
Sorry, everybody.
Bad
Outside
Englando.
of this,
Do better.
What more do you want from a French guy?
Come on now.
what else do you speak? What other language do you speak,
Yeah,
guys?
tell us.
Just tell us.
I speak Leet speak.
Meine
good at
Deutsches. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
He's got a little. He's
Nicht
got a little
gut.
bit of issues. I've
No,
got
because
nothing.
It's just fun to hear like some English speaking people just making fun of you.
No, but
like
this
the way
is
you
why-
pronounce.
No, I got
because-
all the respect in the fucking world for it.
I know how shit our language is, and this is why I know when you have to play in an international team how difficult it could be. Because
Yeah.
I'm the one out there who's going, like years ago, I had that bet with Pimp and Striker, right? And this is before every team was basically international. But it's because like when I would play, communication was one of the biggest things. If my team are communicating, I have a visual picture of exactly what's happening across the map. Like every piece of utility code, right? What they're hearing, everything. You build the picture in your head, and then it helps you play ahead. But the thing is, if anybody is slightly delayed on a key piece of information, especially in like an important moment, it could all fall apart. And that's why comms, if somebody is having to go Israeli, English, speak, go, like
yeah, you've lost 3 seconds.
exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like for me, it's like second nature, but we even still go beep, 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 and that's shit. Like there should be the intensity that they're coming, but it should be shorter, more succinct, and more information. 3B, they're
That's what
coming
the
now.
Swedes were always good at
And
back in the day.
but the
yeah.
Swedes were monotone,
Yeah.
right? They would
Yeah,
pass
it was
the
too much.
Well, it was monotone for us. It probably wasn't monotone for them.
I don't know,
you know?
bro.
Sound pretty fucking monotonous.
But they would just, I think they would.
But it made it work for them.
But they would just
like, what are you gonna
pass the
do?
information and stay calm. Whereas like Counter-Strike is a calm, like if
No, you need
that's the-
intensity
and that-
in your
and-
communication.
That's
for
a
sure.
that's a part of the
I
communication.
remember Spinks in a few days ago say pushing cave. I'm already on Anubis. I'm already at the entrance of A. I die. I'm like, mate, he's not pushing cave. He's already
Yeah.
bridge, mate.
Yeah.
So you need to think like a step forward. Like he's bridge. Then I look back.
Your
If
intensity,
he's pushing
yeah.
cave. I'm like,
That's the way. So that's the way I com. Like if I've died if I died here and the guy's on top of me, well, I'm going to assume he's taken that space.
Exactly.
So by the time my teammate rotates in, he needs to know what he could die
Yeah.
to, not where I died.
Yep.
Like he needs to know what's open, right? And a lot of that gets missed. Like even people, for example, they don't com like you don't have to hold if your position in a round is to hold hut. Right? If you can't hold hut because main's open, right, and you're worried about dying, you just need to say, hey, I'm not watching hut walk out. So your teammate, like the way that people give the information to each other
Yes.
is really important. And I think a lot of people, especially like people who aren't playing professional Counter-Strike,
the casual, yeah.
they miss those details. And those details is so hard for us while commentating to get through because we're not watching all of your POVs all the time.
Yeah.
So we're jumping between
And I
stuff.
think that's why it's important for us to play the game
Yes.
in a decent amount, because it's easy to forget how difficult it is to be focused on your crosshair and like kill if someone shows up, kill them while you're communicating and trying to think about what's going on the map. So that's why like we've also learned, saying not like what you have, but saying what's open is way more helpful than saying who's holding what.
exactly. And
Right.
having those short terms, like for example, us when something is open, we say Pepsi, because what the fuck Pepsi means
Yeah.
in CS. So
Stands
it's
out.
like such a exactly.
Yeah.
So Pepsi main, it's the one I repeat the most because main is more
Yeah.
open than any other map on Nuke. So I say Pepsi main, and people know. And I think that's those small gimmicks, but of course it's more team based than just casual.
We had the word matrix. Matrix meant when a guy is like, it's a word for a guy that's behind like enemy lines and he's about to make a play and everyone just needs to not die.
It's Joker.
Right?
Joker. For us
He
it's
would just
Joker.
say matrix, and then if you hear that, like, okay, this guy's about to make a play. I just need to not die and like let him
say Joker for us.
work.
Yeah, for sure.
I think those short term are really important.
Do you think communications like that are going to become more prevalent in CS teams of like comms that are like situational
Wait, like
versus
mainstream? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, but like every team has a word for Joker.
Well, it has
Every
to be
team has a word for
commonplace.
freeze, don't die on
I
flanking.
don't think they do,
but like
you'd hope so.
No,
you'd think so.
You
Like,
wish.
let's say top 10 teams,
But
right?
An example of this is
But like more situational, right?
But Malik asked me years ago when G2 first went international, I think it was, or when he had one of the international rosters, and he said, like, in English, like, what do you use for this term? And he was kind of talking about it like, you'll get this, but like knock and run,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's kind of like, a fake and I guess fall back, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And I was
It's like you do something and you get out.
But it's almost like prank calling,
Yeah.
like, right? And I was like, well, I guess we'd call it like a prank call or we'd call it like a knock and run, but that's not a good term to use for this
Right,
because of but he was trying to come up with something that would work for the
you
English.
need to find your own way, your own word that means that's exactly what we say. For example, when you create a new strat, how are we gonna call it?
Yeah.
What's gonna help everyone?
For me, it was always obscure. For example, like
I'm
when
so
you
bad at
remember
that.
when Nuke got like, do you know the single box in Nuke on top side?
Yeah.
Right. That never used to be there. They just fucking added that one day. So that box got added, and then as a team, like when it was Renegades, I was like, well, I don't know, fucking mushroom. Like it's a word that we don't have and that we don't use. And it's like mushroom. So it's like everyone goes, well, what the fuck is mushroom? I'm like, well, you know now what the fuck mushroom is because it's a word we didn't use before, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is.
It shouldn't be
Can't
as
call
long
it
as
diggity.
mushroom.
Right.
Yeah, but that was a player.
And also using as
We call
many,
it Taz.
for example, us, what we do is using as many like words on the other maps.
Yes.
Like for example, we have APK. We have APK on Anubis. He never played the Anubis APK.
Yeah, we had that as
use
well,
that, and we try to use Nico and those kind of stuff for everything. Then it's a lot easier when
Does
you
that-
already have.
RPK is a bad example, like because he doesn't play anymore. But does Nico get confusing when you're playing against G2? Like if you have a spot called Nico and Nico's in the server, does that ever like cause? Because Olaf on train, right? But we all know where Olaf is on train. Olaf's in Olaf,
Yeah.
right? Like okay, that's shit for casting.
Yeah, but it's really for you. It's shit for casting, but for us, we don't say the name that much, except if it's the B player that is playing like a teammate.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
normal.
Oh, Nico's dead. Let's
Yeah,
hit B.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. For example, oh no, we have a gap there or whatever.
All right. So my wild idea that I was floating here and there is like the next big thing that could change like the way you play CS would be positionless CS.
That's exact, but that's something that we thought a lot and that we've done before with the French team, but team were not enough aware of the position, so it didn't work out. But I think that's something that we've been thinking about. Like I remember,
It's so hard though now, right?
I think nowadays it's a lot. You can do it, but back then it wasn't possible. I remember something like really easy against Big back then when they saw the op middle, they just ran short.
Yeah, on Dust too. Yes,
Those
so
kind
a
of stuff.
lot of
So-
MVP too.
what happened is like, okay, let's put ZYwoo middle. Let's play one
Second
boost
ult.
back then, one ramp, and one like I call that get right, like just holding long and coming, just the angle of the op long.
Oh yeah,
Just the normal one.
Yeah.
Just coming back to help. And we fuck people like that. And just or otherwise against team that they do it. Because
Yeah, okay.
because you watch demo and they kill one and you see they take the knife and they go on the other side. You send one on the left. And that's what I said. I said that in 15 to Apple. I said, bro, imagine if tomorrow you lurk and we 3 behind.
Yes,
I swear.
we were saying that. Fucking hell, man.
I swear it's gonna work. It's
I don't want to die first.
Yeah, but imagine this. It would have been so easy if Happy just walked in. Imagine if Happy just walked into the B site on cash on his own and died. And then there was one other guy still A main just throwing some fucking nades. Everyone would rotate A. And then the rest of the team.
most likely
rebound
back
side.
then. Most likely back then.
Yeah.
No, people would be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you had the
aware.
reputation
But
for the
back
4-1
then we
back
would
then,
have
for
B
sure,
side
yeah.
for free. I swear we would have.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah, and it's exactly those things. Like back then, I created pistol where I shot the bomb.
And ran
T-side.
it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
People rotated. We were 3 taking space, 1 waiting for me to come back, and there we go.
What's your best idea with a decoy?
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Jason.
I remember Sean
He's got
Gareth
something, look at
trying
him.
to do
He's got
ace
something.
strats with decoy on Mirage.
Yeah.
I remember that. I think there is no idea on decoy.
There was a
There's no ideas on decoy.
I remember Big one time had a good T pistol on Nuke with decoy, something when they were going like silo and main and so I can't.
What, to make noise so they couldn't hear the steps? Or
That's
whatever?
Yeah,
that you can
something like
use,
that. And
Have
it
you
was,
ever
it was
thought
actually a sick pistol.
That
We
the
stole it
first
after
in-game
that.
leader to revolutionize the decoy might go down as the best in-game leader of all
It's
time.
good. It's good.
If you can figure out a way to use the decoy, you might just shoot to the top of the fucking list.
It's been
When
good.
Existence was bad, some point Kenny called him a decoy. So
There
What
was
doing a lot of noise, but not being
Adren,
good.
Duncan was
And then
calling
people call
Adren
Kenny
a
a decoy.
$47,
Funny how
$50
things
decoy.
the way it gets used now, right, is what? Like people use it when taking banana control to clear out half wall, right? So it lands in the guy.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
and,
it.
And other times maybe on a pistol round to get them to, like, if the guy is holding a smoke on B and you throw 2 decoys over and he hears it bouncing, maybe he drops his smoke.
Maybe.
How do you
That's probably about
How do
it.
you fix the decoy?
You don't.
Yeah, it's just bullshit.
You
I
don't-
don't know. They just wanted to create 2 new nades back then with the Molotov and the decoy.
Yeah, they
but
need
the
to stop
decoy
it.
is
It's the one thing they've never touched.
Why do you think it only costs $50, Jason?
That's true.
What do you want it to do, bro?
What can you buy in life for $50?
I don't know, but I
Jason?
think for 4 guys sitting at a table having a drink that all enjoy theory crafting and talking about Counter-Strike, we can do better than saying, nope,
Yeah,
it's
but I
fucked.
think
Yeah,
you-
fuck
you-
the decoy.
Okay, no, but you're right, maybe. But
And
I
fuck
want to
Jason.
spend my time in a better way.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I can agree with that
I
sentiment.
did my best decoy.
Yeah, you tried.
Yeah.
We don't owe anything to the decoy. It's never done anything for us,
Yeah.
and it never will.
I tried to pump the information out of Valve if they were going to change it at all for CS2.
Well, when we were testing it in the office, the decoy, when it exploded, it was a bug, but it would blow doors off. Like, so for example, like
That's
if you,
nice. Exactly. No, you got used for those back then. You could throw
oh
a
yes,
decoy on cash
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the doors and it opened in the other side.
Zeus came up
That's
with
right,
that with
yeah.
luminosity, right?
Yeah.
And Fallen used it because the door opened inwards
In
and
the
he
other
killed
side,
the
so he
guy
could- all
default.
sides,
Yeah, he
exactly.
killed the guy default. I remember that.
Yeah.
That
It's really
sick.
nice.
That was from like useless. It was like
Yeah, he's proud of that. He's
Imagine
proud of
the decoy got used for 2 things in the World CSGO story.
See, guys, y'all discounted the decoy, and we got at least 2 minutes of conversation out of it. So fuck all y'all.
Those niche times.
Yeah.
That's
I
been
Hope you're
used.
proud of that.
It was better in danger zone when it made footsteps. Because
See?
what I would do is I'd throw it at
That's
rush,
true. That
and it would
could be a
troll
thing.
it.
What if you added footsteps to the real game?
Zai would play a little bit of danger zone. Him and Xtaz.
Yeah,
They're in a couple
they
of
were
our
playing a
games.
lot.
They're
Yeah,
in a
that's
couple
right.
of our games.
We talked about Xaz a lot. What did you think of him as a coach? Is he, this TSM project he's part of? Did you enjoy having him as a coach? I don't think the TSM thing is going to go anywhere, but
I'm glad that you highlighted
yeah.
that.
I saw your face in the corner of my
American
eye.
organization, or
What's that?
because it's an American organization.
As if I have to become the punching bag for everything North American in Counter Strike.
Yeah, not just
We
America.
No,
do
but
that the
yeah.
other way usually. So
No, but like honestly, like what is he like? What do you think of him? Because he's got kind of like his exit out of G2 is very weird.
yes, I mean, what I had with him is only good things for real.
He helped you transition to an
I think he had
IGL.
more power probably in Vitality than he had in G2. I think so, probably. I don't know, but
Yeah.
from what I think and what
Sure.
I feel, actually, what happened in Vitality is for him to be a good coach, he needs a really good relationship with the in-game leader. That's for sure. He needs that, and that's why we succeed really well together. Is that I was into what he was thinking, and he was into what I was thinking. We were really good with each other, and we really trusted each other. So if he came out and say, "Yeah, I think we should go that way," I was following him, and I was trusting him really well. And yeah, he's really passionate guy. Like he's working a lot and doing a lot of stuff for CS, and it's that kind of guy that you can talk hours of CS, but in a good way, because it's not often like that, and we all know that with other coaches and everything. And he was also good at with his relationship with the SNSS coach, with Matt. Also at that time, he was really good, and yeah, he did the. How can I say? He just overall with what we had, he did the best out of it.
Okay.
Like for example, the French lineup with.
Yeah.
But then, of course, taking care of bigger players like Nico and everything. Maybe it was a struggle for him. I don't know exactly what's happened in G2, and we didn't have this big conversation together. But I think that, of course, it's a lot different in any other team. And when you have to deal with other guys, for us, it was maybe Shock to deal with this sometimes because he's a princess, and we all know Shock's princess. It's really known. It's really, it's really known, but other than that, he didn't have to take care of too much things. Maybe I know he had like a rough relationship with Alexi and everything else. I don't know how it went exactly, but for me, he is a fucking good coach, and there is
I had to do
no problem with
I had
that.
to do a content piece with him when he was in G2. It was me, him, and Alexi like breaking down a round, and you could just tell they had a completely different fucking idea of how you look at that round.
Yeah, exactly.
They were not on the same page.
Who we got? We got a visitor.
Hey,
Who is it?
I don't know.
I can't see.
See ya.
It says do not enter.
Yeah, but someone probably just saw me come in here and went, "I'm probably gonna."
This is where the party is at. Like that must be like going crazy.
SPUNJ is going in. They're
People
getting
look at me
wild.
and they go, "That guy's the life of the party."
It's the place to be.
Yeah, well, this is the place to be, but I'm definitely not the life of the party. That's fucking for sure. How long have we been going for, Jason? I'm not
We're
wanting to
about-
wind this up. I'm just curious.
We're at the 2.5 hour mark. If we
So
add
plus
like
the first bit?
no, we're at 2 hours and 10 minutes
Okay,
plus
so
the first
plus the
bit,
first
2.5 hours ish. Yeah.
Okay, all right. This is a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the fact we're doing it without headsets. If we could do this
It's
every
much
time,
better.
Yeah, the headset.
Usually you do it with headset.
Yeah, because we want to monitor our levels, but now we have an AI that does it for us.
No, at the start we were
Machine
really
learning.
bad. We weren't as professional as we are now.
you can see, it's
Obviously,
very-
We've scaled up our
you
professionalism.
know, it was like the levels were all over the place, and we tried to do the audio, and we weren't so good at it. And then we figured out there's an AI for everything now.
Yes,
So then we still out of habit had the headset, because when you had it, you hear yourself talk, so you can hear if you're speaking and being very loud, if you're too quiet, to get closer to it. But the AI just sorts everything out, and this is way more natural. You're just
Yeah, exactly.
talking.
It's easier to speak than with a
Yeah.
headset. I think
And
I would be
every-
bored.
Every player that does that is like freaked out by it. For us, we're
For
so
us, it's
used to
nothing,
it.
yeah.
We always have side.
For me, actually, it's other way around. If I'm on the show and I don't hear myself, like when I'm on the
Oh, it
desk, when
feels
it's a crowd
terrible.
in the arena, I'm like so weirded out. I
Oh,
feel
it's
like
horrifying.
I start talking very loudly.
But also, like when you're casting, for example, like you wanna hear how you're enunciating your words, right? So it's like it's kind of important in that
Yeah.
regard. Like not so much for me because I just go, oh, they're out of money, or they're going B, and Alex takes over. But it's still
Although Henry plays CS with side tone.
he plays CS with side tone.
believe
He's become
so.
that used to it. I know that Henry's
That's too
volume,
much.
Henry's volume is deafening. Henry's volume is like whenever
Anders is as well.
their hearing is just gone.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely fucked.
Anders and Henry will they'll set a headset down after a cast, and you can hear the volume through the headset, and you're just like,
It's not
how
possible.
do you put this on?
I have some, for me, in volume in CS, I play 50% on Windows and
Okay.
0.1 on the game.
Sorry,
Wow,
what?
That's
Yes.
too low.
Yeah,
bro.
but
Bro.
I
50% Windows 0.1 in game.
Yes.
Sorry, how are you hearing anything?
I prefer hearing my teammates and everything than
Holy
that.
shit.
I think it's more important for me.
No.
Yes, I do.
Well, to be fair, if he's not playing like anchor positions and has to hear 5 sets of
I'm
footsteps,
rotating anyway.
What do you have, what if he's in a clutch?
Yeah, okay, then maybe he has a.
Everyone's
Everyone's
shut the
walking
fuck up.
anyway.
Oh, shit. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Fucking hell.
And on that note,
Yeah. Can I ask, what are your plans now that you've been eliminated? Are you going home?
No, I'm just gonna stay because I have a friend coming
Okay.
tomorrow, so I'm gonna stay a bit in Malta, and then yeah, I mean,
Kiyoshima lives up the road.
yeah, I know.
And Lucky as well.
I saw him the season we won. I saw him. He came, so he was really good old teammate from 15, 16 as well, actually.
Can I stop you here? What's up with Kiyoshima?
What do you mean? What's up with Kiyoshima?
What's up? What do
like
you mean?
in terms of Kyo was always, I always felt like Kyo was like a lost player in the professional scene. Like he was part of so many good lineups, so many winning lineups, so many teams that won
majors.
great things, and then like he always just like felt like he got
He completed
lost
the
in the
game.
shuffle. You know, like when he
No, but the problem with Kiyoshima is that he was really talented, but he was really lazy.
okay,
Mhm.
One of the laziest player I play with.
sure,
And we tried to tell him in 16 when everything went rough
yeah,
for everyone, but he didn't took effort. But like hours into the game and everything, and he wasn't like a mastermind in terms of CS. He was hitting his shot in LDLC and Clan Mystic with us,
Yeah.
and in Envious. But then yeah, that was pretty tough. But the crazy, I think he has a bigger career than what he is really.
Mm.
But he deserved it. I mean, he was at the right time, and he was doing such a great job for a short amount of time. Obviously, he had this phase time as well.
Yeah.
He wasn't, but it was
Yeah,
pretty rough for
sure.
him.
and that was kind of like his last big team at the top, right?
Yeah.
Because like after
He
that,
had
it was
the
like,
Cloud9 way for a few months in
Yeah.
Cloud9 with Flusha, and
that was never going to last long
But
term.
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
the thing with him now. Like, so he streams GTA 5 RP, right? So he obviously doesn't have the drive to want to be a professional Counter-Strike
No.
player
Sure.
anymore, right? And
No,
that's
he's-
something that goes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's the way he is, and that's no problem with that.
Actually, that's
Shroud.
probably. Do you ever think about?
Shroud is a slightly bigger.
Bigger streamer, but same vibes.
Skadoodle as well, right? He obviously doesn't want to put
Yeah.
the like.
Who knows? CS2. Mm.
Yeah, well, Freiburg's making a comeback, so why not Skadoodle as well? Kiyoshima too.
What's
Let's bring them all back.
what's your thoughts on the now that you're 30? Now that you
Now-
know,
No, it's
Now
good.
that you're
It's-
over the hill.
no, I think it's a good question.
now that you're dying.
I'm closer and closer to die for sure. But the thing is, I think my 31st year is the best of my life in everything. I think being 30 it never been scary for me at all, but it's just really nice.
Sure.
I think everything.
I know. I
is
feel the
much
same
better.
way in my 30s.
I
I'm like,
think
this is
everything
great.
is much better in the way you are as a human, the way you accept yourself, and the way you are with others, and the way you grew up. I think for myself at least. So I think being 30 is awesome.
But in terms of like gaming, right? Like everyone always puts an emphasis on the age. Like where are you
Well,
in
he
that
made the
conversation?
sacrifice. He's already made it. Like he's already
become an
you can
in-game
tell
leader.
that all
Yeah.
his life is at the moment, and this I don't mean this disrespect. I fucking respect the fuck out of it, but I can tell just by like I remember talking to you like we DM'd a little bit like a while ago. Like laser focus
That's hot.
is all I get
Yeah.
from him. That's like I don't know if that's bang on, but I feel like right now your life is Counter-Strike and that's it.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I don't play that much. Okay, I don't play that much, but I think CS a lot. But for me, my career has been my priority so far over girlfriends, over everything. And I broke up from a long relationship 2 years ago because it was too much and I understood that. But for me, it always been my priority because you never know how long it will last.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I love what I do. I love when those playoff today, if we played on stage, it would be probably different because you feel the atmosphere and everything. And whenever I go back to a stage, I'm like, okay, that's why I play CS.
I'm home.
That's fucking why I play
Yeah.
CS. And now I think that career-wise, when I see Carrigan and Snappy, I think I have still a couple of years. I don't know how much I will keep doing it because maybe I will do a lot, maybe not. It just also depends, of course, of my level, of the opportunities, but also about what I want because it's been 11 years of CSGO at the highest level and it's been rough at some point, traveling everywhere, the pressure and everything. I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of excited to finish it, but not excited to finish it. It's a bit a weird feeling, but I want to also enjoy, like, for example, what I really want to do is just a wall tour. Take a backpack and just leave this
Hell yeah,
phone and
baby.
this social media and everything. I just want to live a normal life for a year and maybe come back as a coach maybe or something. But for me,
I think you'd make a great coach.
maybe. But for me, for now, it's just appreciating my
experience.
Just don't coach any
No,
Scandinavians.
but I think like something that you have in everything that you've said this evening, or most of what you said this evening, maybe not everything, but you've demonstrated like a lot of self-awareness and like a lot of perspective on like where you are and like who you are and what you can achieve and everything like that and the ways that you had to change over the years. Like when you were talking before about like the way that you react to things, right? And you know, it's about your teammates understanding that and whether they can deal with that or not. Like you're who you are. Like for me, I was like really big personality in terms of getting fired up and loud and everything. But my teammates were like, well, no, we can't be like that all the time because it's too in flux. So instead of me going, let's find a middle ground, I just completely neutered. Like, and I was probably at the time, I was probably 26, 27. And that's essentially when you were on the path to becoming an in-game leader around your 27, 28, right? I guess.
Yes.
I didn't have that self-awareness in myself to be able to take a step back and go, this is what I have to address and this is what I look at. Whereas you, for everything, you fucking sounds like you've got a good vision.
A little bit is self-awareness, but more of it is just sort of being like, I am who I am and I'm not going to change for anyone. Like, okay, you guys think it's too much. I'll work on it, but this is who I'll be forever.
Yeah.
I can't play CS unless I can get fired up, right? So you probably gave too much leeway at the time, and that's why you ended up being miserable and you retired. No, I don't mean this in a I don't mean this in like I'm attacking, you know, like I'm taking a stab at you in a sort of a way, but that's what it led to because you weren't yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why it wasn't fun anymore. Like I'm sure if you all of a sudden were like suppressing all these emotions, you would just be miserable playing.
I said I also in the way you call it goes hands to hands. That's why I said I remember to my assistant coach when we lost in Rio, I said I have to be myself. It's too much. I'm getting crazy not being myself.
Yeah.
And
You would rather not play case in hand than keep playing but not being yourself.
I want to be myself and I want to have players to believe in myself and everything. And I think it's really important to have that. I think what I've been doing most likely since I'm in game leader is reflecting a lot about myself, the way I behave, the way I am with my teammates. And for me, for example, something that my in-game leader never done is that you go to talking and you lost and just say, guys, it's my bad. Today I fucked up.
Taking ownership of
Yeah.
you lost.
And that's really rare because if you admit your mistakes, other people will come up
Yes.
really in an easier way. They say, okay, yeah, me too, I fucked up this run. That's why I love to talk in the talks we have with the team. I love to talk first because I just say, yeah. For example, I remember when we played G2 at the major, we had a good lead, 10-5 on Nuke. And this, I called like shit. We didn't win because of it. I should say it, guys. I just really called like shit. Didn't work out and I wasn't there. But they were, it's fine. And then it's easier. And then also for me, I don't have it in me. Then we played the second game against Sense. I was better individually. I was better as a captain. And then it goes, and then boom, I trust myself. And I think for me, it's really important to admit your weakness towards the others. And if you do that, the openness in the team is way better.
Yeah. Yeah, it breaks down those kind of barriers, right? Because especially for the younger guys, if they see the captain, the in-game leader, the older statesman, the guy who's won majors come out and go, yeah, that was my fault. I suppose that it gives them all that space to be able to do the same. And then if people are actually talking about their mistakes instead of pointing fingers at one another, then you're actually finding solutions as opposed to just finding more excuses. Right?
Exactly.
So,
and what I expect also from my teammates, like Shah, Flimsy coming into the team, I say, if I'm to watch with you, I expect you to tell me. It's not because I'm in game leader that you don't have to tell me I'm the captain. And then sometimes we have talks. He said, yeah, I think it was too much. I'm like, okay, you're right. That was too much. That was too much. And I will take care of that. I think it's so important, like just not to be, because what I've been doing, I mean, what I have in my career is I'm the captain. I'm doing whatever I want, kind of, this thinking way that is pretty shit overall.
Does that conversation sometimes go over, like someone complains a little bit about something and you're like, no, like you're actually,
of course it goes,
I'm not like,
I don't agree. I just
Yeah,
don't
exactly,
agree. I think it's bullshit.
yeah,
Sometimes I say
yeah.
it's bullshit.
Yeah,
You actually, sometimes it comes up with something and the reason is not the right one. But then you go a bit deeper and you understand what's the reason.
Yeah.
But people, I think that most likely younger players, they don't know how to deal with like problems, and they like,
but communicating properly is hard.
it's hard, but also knowing exactly what's the problem. Sometimes people feel it's a problem, but it's not this the problem. It's something just right behind.
Sure.
And I remember, I will not say name because it's not good, but lately we had a problem and someone came up and said, this problem. I was, this guy is crazy or what? That's what I thought. And then I was okay, I'm not going to say anything because I think it's bullshit. So I'm going to speak to him after. And we spoke together. And then I understood what's the real reason.
Yeah.
And then everything got a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's just needing also having this experience to listen to players and say, okay.
That also circles around to what you talked about earlier, where some players these days only grow up on a PC and only like grow up in one environment, and that
Communication's hard for
reduces.
everybody, right?
Regardless
Like,
how you
even-
grow up,
Yeah.
it's like just getting older
Yeah.
and maturing
Experience.
That
as
too,
a
yeah.
human.
I
it's
wish I would have the same experience
Yeah, we
now
all-
than I was 20
all,
because
you
we
know.
will all be different.
But
it's part of the
like,
life.
now that you have the experience, like to any young aspiring in-game leaders that are listening to this, give me like one or two things that you would say are the most important. You want to be a captain, you want to be an in-game leader when it comes to handling like your players on a sort of a human level, but also if there's someone, yeah, let's just start with that.
For me, what's the really important part is that having a lot of talks with your players, a lot of outside talks, like
One-on-one and team.
one-on-one and team. But I love one-on-ones, just knowing about his life as well, how it's going. Because life is also prime is a girlfriend, prime is family, prime with, I don't know, surgery, or can be a lot of things. And having these close talks with the players is one of the most important things. I think the human part is bigger than anything else in the coaching and also in the being a captain. I think it's so important to be able to have that. So that's the first thing. Then for CS, I think it's listening to them as well, what they want, but also having your own identity. And that's the tough part to find. Like, I don't know, tomorrow I play with Nico. I know he's love searching. I know he's really good at that. But I also need to have my playstyle. So how do we adapt both together? And that's what is really hard. because he's gonna be unhappy, and sometimes I will be unhappy. So just finding this like really small line that is really rough, but if you get it,
It's
you get the
perfect.
groove.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's for
I
me
know-
most liked about that.
I know you've known Nico for ages, you
Yes.
know, like and everything. I think you're like on you're good. I mean, I don't want to say good friends because, but you're like on good terms
Really
and
good terms,
everything.
yeah.
Like would it be fun? You think to play with him?
Actually, I don't know. I don't know how both of us will work together. I think it's I think I would be a good guy for him at some point because I will not shut up. I will tell him to shut up, but but no, I think I would be a good guy for him because I have my own ideas, and if I would play with Simple or anyone or Nico, I will keep my way, and maybe it will clash and it will not work. I don't know, but I think when you both know it's for the best, I think you can work together. But yeah, I think that when of course you think about those things sometimes, and you think, what about if I play with him? And the only tough part is that he's an opener, but a different opener than the others. He's opening like default, but on the strats he's not going. And me, I also like those set executes. So I will have to change also my way to think and my way to play. So I think it has to be a balance. Like
here's how it works in G2, Dan. So the support player throws all the flashes, and then once they have all the space, the support player then comes with the bomb and has to entry frag. That's how it works in G2.
Can you tell which perspective he's gotten that story from?
Who do you think told him that?
Watch the demo.
Who do you think?
Tell me it's not true. I challenge you. Tell me it's not true. Go watch a fucking ancient game.
Bro.
Watch Justin set him up.
I can probably count on the fingers on one hand the time Justin JKS Savage has gone first anywhere, even to the fucking grocery store, let alone a bomb site.
Now look.
You gotta stop fucking making excuses for your boy.
He's got the bow rub treatment. Right? He's got the bow rub treatment right now. Throw all the flashes, an entry frag, and then plant the bomb.
That sounds terrible.
The bow rub treatment.
Dad, could you ever go back to not being an in-game leader?
No way. No way.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
First of all, to be happy with National TV Forum, I'm washed up, so it's over for me.
Sure.
So it's CS is not for me, but no way. Listening to someone calling,
Yeah.
and
Some fucking dickhead.
Some idiots gonna tell me what to do.
tell me what I'm doing myself. Okay. No, I've been thinking about that, but no way. Actually, the true part is, I'm not impressed by any in-game leader right now. I'm not impressed. Some are really good, and I respect a lot. But I'm not impressed. Maybe they're not impressing me. It's fine. It's not.
Are you impressed by any in-game leaders in the past? You said you don't really have an in-game leader you look up to, but like in the past of Counter-Strike, like you had to have had a
Carrigan, what he did as well. Oh, Clay for me, I don't know if I'm that impressed with what they've done, but Carrigan, I think he had like some really good way to think CS, and he's been working, and I like the new ideas, the new thing he came up with, and that kind of stuff. I love also. As I love nades in CS, that's also my part in being good with flashes. I remember Pronax, he used to play with smoke, flash just for his teammates. The other didn't need nades anyway, just using smoke and flash to execute. Yeah. That was all different time, but he also like having this idea of using nades, and that was good all time as well.
That's actually one of the sickest things we'll get in CS2 a couple of years from now, not immediately, but you look at who the greatest coach in CSGO is, it's Zonic, and Zonic was one of the great in-game leaders in 1.6, right? And coming...
Well, he didn't in-game lead in 1.6.
No, it was Ive.
Or, yeah,
true. Player in 1.6.
True, my bad, but it was one of the great players. And now, imagine if, guys like yourself, long time away from now, and Carrigan,
Snappy.
Fallen, Snappy, when these guys sort of, if that's something that they want to do, right, with all the knowledge that we know they have, right, coming into a team, and of course, coaching a team is a lot more than just CS.
Of course.
But they will definitely command a lot of respect from their players because of what they've achieved themselves as players. So if they can handle and they know, if they learn as well how to do the human magic, that's going to make for some sick, like,
For
teams.
if you guys are still there, it's gonna be like even better because you just the transitioning from like the guys you saw as in game leader to coaches, and then with new guys and everything.
That's
it
the
will
shit
be
that
fun.
makes us moist.
Was today Madger and Matt were talking, right? And I was like, oh shit,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys would have
0.6.
played. Yeah, exactly. I was like, fuck, like that's so cool. We'll have that if I tell
They know each other from 2006.
right? And that's a lot of history right there. That's a
Yes.
shit. That's so much history.
Now we can have them on the
funniest-
couch together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. Do you want to come
That's
do a
the
cast
spot.
or something? I know you said you got someone coming to visit you.
Ah,
But
yeah, for the next few days, why not?
if you want to come, just send us a message wherever you want.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck, is this thing live?" Yeah, yeah, I do want to go, guys.
You
We'll
don't
get them for maybe one of the semis, you know, like,
Hey, whatever you want.
or a G2 mouse.
Literally
Cheeky
whatever you
G2
want.
mouse tomorrow.
You can come do whatever. If you want to come on the show and say "fuck you," well, maybe not that much. Jason's been banning the f bombs on broadcast.
Nice, James.
Carton Rouge.
I've been scaling it back, you know,
So many
not
fucks.
banning it.
Yeah, I didn't see you do a great job of that with Freya though.
Freya's dropping f bombs left, right, and center.
The most.
Look, Freya's been unleashed, so I'm letting her have her moment in the sun.
okay,
You know, I'm
fair
letting
enough.
her really spread her wings.
Don't put a
little
dampener on it.
bit. No,
All right.
let her enjoy it.
Okay, cool.
Well, we're
I
at
think
that point.
we've. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I could keep doing this for hours.
yeah,
Me
yeah,
too, me
But
too.
that's
I love talking.
That's probably the problem.
yeah.
Look, I'm just trying to work out how much trouble I'm going to get in, and then probably none. But my girlfriend just arrived today, and I haven't seen her in 2 months. And I've been like, "Yeah, I'm doing this podcast."
For another
Yeah,
hour.
you should go then.
30
No,
minutes.
it's-
Yeah,
like-
we all know we've all been at the blue balls territory.
Well, I don't. It's not even that, man. Like once you get into the 2-month period, you're like,
And I want to pee so bad as well.
"Oh, well, there you go." Hey,
I was gonna
crazy,
say
man.
I've gone up twice. You've
I've gotten up
Gonna-
3
it's go-
times.
It's getting crazy right now.
I broke the seal.
I just
but-
didn't
Cool.
want because I'm the guest of the show, so I don't want to move. But
Nah,
I can guarantee you that the toilet's
No, I
gonna
think it's
be
been-
dead.
Yeah,
It's been a lot of fun. I think we can.
yeah.
And
And
it's
hey,
here.
we appreciate you coming too, especially after today. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
That was
man.
nice.
It's
That
been
was
a
nice.
lot
I
of
appreciate
fun.
We'll do it again.
like-
Is there anything you want to say to the people at home?
Or if you want to ask us something.
Fuck everyone. I don't know. No.
Fuck everyone. I'm the best,
No,
the best
nothing
NBA
crazy
leader
to
of all
say.
time.
No, nothing crazy to say. I've seen enough things in my life, so it's fine.
Okay, no.
For once, I will be quiet.
Yeah.
Cool. Cheers, bro.
Thank you, Dan.
Cheers.
All right.
GG's.
Right.